when the zombie apocalypse started. Even the lands were affected, so no one could grow food and everyone else was fighting the zombies to survive. While some mutated and unlocked abilities, our MC obtained the farming system along with other superpowers. Now if you like this kind of story, let's begin. Z City residents are warned of rising animal attacks and advised to stay home at night while authorities investigate. The protagonist holds a can of tuna and says to stock up on shelf-stable foods as an urgent news report reveals a virus outbreak in X City, which the media is closely monitoring. People speculate that an elderly man's sudden death is linked to a citywide respiratory outbreak. After hearing the announcement, our protagonist loads his truck with essentials before leaving. With his truck full, he grabs frozen food, instant noodles, and snacks, then drives to get diesel before meeting Li-Han and deer hunting. When his phone rings, he answers, "Hello," while driving. A woman calls Tian Ran about her job offer, but he says he needs to care for Li-Han and won't put her in an orphanage. The woman threatens to end their marriage because Li-Han isn't his blood relative, but Tian Ran insists she's like a sister and it's his duty. The girl says she won't look after Li-Han. Frustrated, the woman tells Tian Ran to forget marriage and break up, which he does. But while on the phone, something darts in front of his car, causing him to crash and splatter blood. Tian Ran jerks forward, clutching the steering wheel, slamming the brakes. Scared and sweating, he thinks he hit a dog but sees a goat. After being hit by a car, the goat stands up with a strange, eerie expression. Blood rushes past its eyes, blurring them. Tian Ran is shocked to see the sheep's brain smashed but alive. The sheep leaves silently, acting strangely. Tian Ran watches as the sheep disappears into the bushes, still confused. He turns back to the road, glad the sheep didn't die, to avoid calling the police. He drives home to his farm. His sister calls out from behind as he parks the jeep and unloads the rations, turning his head. Li-Han excitedly announces that Tian Ran is back as she runs toward him with 2 dogs. He tells her to slow down. Li-Han smiles at his haul and asks if she can help carry it. Tian Ran gives her a small package to carry, and she happily does. Li-Han, walking ahead of Tian Ran, says she's tired after doing all her chores and asks for his meat stew to feel better, cheering when he suggests venison stew with carrots. She stops talking when one of the dogs bites into a bush and pulls out a mouthful of grass. She lightly hits the dog on the head to punish it for biting the crops. The 2 of them and the 2 dogs head home. A grass-chewing bull watches Tian Ran pass by in its shed. Unfocused and blood red, its eyes are surrounded by flies. Later, as the stew pot simmers, Li-Han asks if she can watch the solar eclipse since it was announced on the radio. Li-Han praises Tian Ran's cooking and hunting while eating her pie. According to Tian Ran, the eclipse will only darken the sun, so she'll need special glasses to watch. Li-Han points at the window as the radio counts down to the eclipse from 10. Turning around, Tian Ran sees the sun darkening like a black shade and the sky dimming, shocking him into standing up. The radio countdown reaches 3. And the sun is completely covered by a black curtain. The light bulb goes out when the countdown hits 2, making it feel like night outside. Li-Han, scared, asks why there's a blackout and crosses her arms, shivering. Tian Ran tenses up, trying to figure out why the 2 dogs are barking madly. The radio goes haywire, emitting static and buzzing. Li-Han points and tells Tian Ran to look, turning him. Kicking open the door, Tian Ran runs outside and is confused by the summer snowflakes. Tian Ran rushes to tell Li-Han to go back inside while he manages the cattle, and she begs him to come back quickly, which he affirms. Xiao Hei, the black dog, walks beside Tian Ran as he digs his feet in and pushes forward in the blizzard. The sun appears to have become a hole surrounded by a swirling, dark phenomenon. Tian Ran groans as the sun suddenly shines, straining to open his eyes. As the snow falls harder, Tian Ran grits his teeth and struggles to stand. His eyes widen and his jaw drops as the sun appears to be a massive black hole. Xiao Hei growls softly in the eerie atmosphere. Tian Ran struggles to understand the sudden snowstorm and strange sun behavior. Seeing the bull charging Tian Ran from behind, Xiao Hei barks and snarls. When Xiao Hei leaps over him, Tian Ran is even more confused. As Xiao Hei lunges on top of the bull, Tian Ran swiftly dodges the sharp horns of the bull charging it. He slides 360 degrees on the slippery ground, observing the fierce battle between the dog and the bull, which seems to have grown large fangs. Without delay, Tian Ran sprints away, hoping to find his complex bow and notices it lying on a chopped tree. The bull slams Xiao Hei onto the snowy ground, causing him to whimper. Cursing under his breath, Li Tianran draws his bow and pulls back an arrow, focusing on the bull. The bull turns to look at Li Tianran, noticing him before he can fire. Startled by the sight of the bull, Li Tianran panics and releases 4 arrows as the bull charges forward. The arrows pierce the bull's face, but it only lets out a growl like moo. Cheering at his hits, Li Tianran hopes the bull is dead, but it continues charging. Shocked, he realizes the bull isn't dead despite the arrows lodged in its head. Sensing something strange, Li Tianran raises his bow again to shoot more arrows. Reaching for more arrows, he discovers he's out and curses, only to be lifted off his feet as the bull charges into him. The impact sends him flying, and he crashes a few feet away, with Xiao Hei running to his side and barking madly. Coughing, Li Tianran notices the bull preparing to charge again, and Xiao Hei bites his thigh to grab his attention. As he turns to see what Xiao Hei is barking, he notices the dog is directing its attention toward their house. He then realizes that if the bull is mutated, other animals might be too, putting Li Han in danger. Meanwhile, inside the house, Xiao Bai, with glowing red eyes, is snarling at Li Han. Confused and concerned, Li Han asks what's wrong, but Xiao Bai continues growling. With a roar, Xiao Bai lunges at Li Han, as she screams in terror. But Li Tianran arrives just in time and kicks Xiao Bai away before it can hurt her. Worried about Xiao Bai's mutation, Li Tianran grabs Li Han, reassuring her that everything will be fine. Holding Li Han, he carries her toward the safe house, warning her that the dogs are dangerous now and telling her not to leave the house. In the midst of the blizzard, Li Tianran cautiously moves forward, struggling on the slippery ground, and arrives at his barn. Li Han wraps her arms around his neck in fear as he forces himself to keep moving. He checks the system to assess his condition. As the bull appears behind it, the system shows he has 0 arrows remaining and 4 living beings within range, leaving him puzzled. Opening the barn's door, he lets Li Han inside and tells her not to come out, promising her to trust in him. The number of living beings increases to 5 as Li Tianran slams the door shut. Suddenly Xiao Bai attacks him from behind, completely taking him by surprise as he groans in pain. Li Tianran lets out a small yelp as he is pushed forward by the force of Xiao Bai's attack. Hearing his cry, Li Han bangs on the door from inside the barn, calling out for him. At that moment, Xiao Hei, unaffected by the mutation, charges at Xiao Bai. Clutching his wound, Li Tianran praises Xiao Hei for his help. He then sprints forward as the bull chases him, telling Xiao Hei to hold on until he handles the bull. Saying so, grabs an axe from the chopped tree. With his back against a large tree, he taunts the bull to charge at it. As the bull charges, Li Tianran jumps aside at the last moment, causing the bull to crash into the tree. Miraculously, the bull's sharp horns pierce the tree, trapping it. Seizing the opportunity, Li Tianran raises his axe high, cursing the bull. Before he can strike, Xiao Bai lunges at him, biting into his neck. Stunned by the attack, Li Tianran realizes that Xiao Hei must have been killed. In shock, he stands still as the bull also charges at. The bull slams into Li Tianran, piercing his stomach with its horns and causing him to cough up blood. Impaled and unable to move, a voice in his head tells him something noisy must be cut down. Meanwhile, the system begins rebooting, matching the game Apocalypse Survival. Li Tianran hears an eerie sound and forces his eyes open, trying to stay awake. The system continues loading. Seeing numbers and screens around him, Li Tianran wonders about the carousel-like display, while finding the attacking beasts unbearably noisy. Blood drips from his mouth as the bull pushes its horns deeper into his stomach. Determined to protect Li Han, Li Tianran grips the axe tighter, prepared to fight even if it costs his life. Finally, the system finishes loading, fully matching Li Tianran to the Apocalypse Survival game. The Apocalypse game successfully loads, and Li Tianran finds himself starting in the poorly run manor at level 4. Currently, he is floating in what seems like a deep lake made of pixels as he receives a level 1 skill, Eye of Truth. He is currently BNB rank and needs an additional 8 million points to upgrade to Fortress rank. After a blinding flash of light, Li Tianran opens his eyes. He finds himself lying on his back on the hard ground, bewildered to still be alive. Running his hand over his chest and stomach, he suddenly sits up, realizing that he was just pierced by the bull's horn. He also notices that all his wounds have vanished, leaving him confused about what's happening. Flashes of himself being brutally attacked by Xiao Bai and the bull rush through his memory. Letting out a groan of pain, he clutches his head tight. Turning his head, he's startled to see the bull's head has been severed from its body. Looking to the other side, he sees Xiao Bai lying unconscious as well. Completely baffled, he wonders what could have happened after he passed out. Moreover, he is certain that the destructive power that killed the bull is beyond anything a human could have done. Suddenly, something strange happens as Li Tianran's eyes begin to blaze and glow a bright white. The system activates, welcoming him to the game, and he gets to his feet with electricity crackling around him. Xiao Bai relentlessly bites into Li Tianran's neck, but with a surge of strength, Li Tianran delivers a crushing fist to Xiao Bai's face. With the force of the blow, Xiao Bai is sent flying, crashing hard nearby. Gripping his axe tight, Li Tianran swings it down onto the bull, striking its head and making it roar loudly. A large wound appears on the bull's head as Li Tianran pulls back his axe. With a blank expression and his eyes still glowing, the aura around Li Tianran intensifies. His chest wounds begin to heal rapidly. Dashing forward with blinding speed, Li Tianran raises his axe high, poised to bring it down upon the bull before him. A blinding flash of light suddenly appears, and Li Tianran opens his eyes wide in shock. After witnessing the previous scenes, he realizes his memory is returning as a mission appears on the screen. Reading that it's the first round of the destruction season, Li Tianran notes that the game is just beginning. The first round is set on Poison Land, where human beings live, and he wonders what the second round will be like. Approaching Xiao Bai's fainted body, Li Tianran deduces that both the bull and Xiao Bai must have consumed a poison plant, causing them to mutate. The mutation makes them extremely strong and fierce, so Li Tianran ties Xiao Bai up to prevent further harm. Wanting to check on Li Han, he heads to the barn where he locked her in and swings the doors open. He makes his way down the dark staircase into the basement. Flipping the light switch, he realizes the electrical system still hasn't been restored, and checking his phone, he sees there's no signal. Looking around, he searches for Li Han, wondering where she could be and why it's so silent. Hidden behind a small box, he spots Li Han's legs. Fearing she might be hurt, he runs toward her, shouting her name. She seems to be fast asleep or unconscious, and kneeling down next to her, Li Tianran shakes her, asking what happened. He goes back outside and starts a fire, watching large flames rise before him, under the night sky, still devoid of sunlight. In silence, he watches as the cinders from the flames float upward toward the sky. Returning to the basement, he unlocks a cupboard. Opening the door frame, he reveals an array of firearms and switches on the diesel generator, flooding the basement with light. Picking up a single pistol, he checks its condition and then pockets it. After that, he places a walkie-talkie near Li Han's head while she remains asleep. Fully prepared and ready, Li Tianran leaves the basement and steps out through the barn's main door. A while later, he hits the road in his jeep. As he drives, a horde of mutated animals and birds begin chasing after him. He notices that the mutants are being drawn to his vehicle and pulls out his gun, ready to shoot them. Suddenly, a large truck drives up behind him and starts firing it. Startled by the sudden attack, Li Tianran tightens his grip on the steering wheel. The truck speeds past him, drifts powerfully, and blocks his path. Clenching his teeth, Li Tianran slams down on the jeep's brakes, stopping just before the truck. Meanwhile, a massive machine gun emerges from the truck's roof, aiming directly at Li Tianran's jeep. A military person mounts the machine gun, adjusts it, and lowers it into position. Inside his jeep, Li Tianran raises his hand slowly as he sees the gun aimed directly at the military person. Speaks through a walkie-talkie, announcing that the road alert has been lifted. Noticing the badge on the man's shoulder, Li Tianran realizes it's from the nearby army base and guesses there may be riots in the city. The military man tells Li Tianran it's dangerous outside and asks why he's there, to which Li Tianran replies he's searching for resources and supplies. The military man advises Li Tianran to head to the government's designated resource acquisition location, as the city is no longer safe, and Li Tianran agrees. At that moment, a military plane and a helicopter fly overhead, passing over Li Tianran's jeep. Observing the deployment of these aircraft, Li Tianran speculates that there must be numerous mutant beasts and decides to visit Zhonglin. Despite their recent breakup, the city is shrouded in smoke, with tall buildings looming under a dark, stormy sky, hinting at recent calamities. As Li Tianran drives along, he hears news of a robbery occurring on one street and reports of someone found dead on another. Alarmed by these dangerous reports, Li Tianran remains on high alert. Checking his rearview mirror, he sees police cars patrolling the streets and ambulances in action. He notices a woman being rushed into an ambulance, seriously injured. The scene is chaotic, with many injured and insufficient medical help, leading to some dying while others receive no treatment. A woman, on the brink of losing her injured husband, wails beside him, begging him to hold on until help arrives. Observing the chaos, Lee Tian-ran realizes the medical system is overwhelmed, with too many casualties and too few personnel to manage them. Clutching the steering wheel tighter, he wonders if he will truly be able to save Li Han and complete his objectives. Outside the Resource Purchase Center, a crowd gathers as a loudspeaker announces that this location has been set up by the government for easy resource acquisition. The officer, speaking into a microphone, instructs the people to queue up and buy in turn. He advises patience, reminding everyone that all goods and rations are tagged with prices. Meanwhile, the people in the queue struggle to cooperate, with many quarreling to get ahead. In the corner, a woman holds her small daughter tightly as the girl sobs, complaining of hunger. Lee Tian-ran arrives at the scene in his jeep. The first thing he sees is two men fighting over goods, each claiming them for themselves. The crowd outside the Resource Purchase Center becomes increasingly restless, with their patience wearing thin. Lee Tian-ran decides to leave and heads towards his ex's house just a block away. Suddenly, a van pulls out in front of his jeep. Startled, Lee Tian-ran slams on the brakes. His jeep screeches to a halt, narrowly avoiding a collision. A fat man emerges from the van and walks toward Lee Tian-ran, his expression cautious. Approaching the jeep's window, the man asks if Lee Tian-ran is there to buy resources. The man displays a package of fruits and vegetables, offering them for sale. Lee Tian-ran, suspicious, examines the goods carefully and then, with a smirk, says he will buy them if the man eats them in front of him. Taken aback, the fat man asks if Lee Tian-ran doubts him. Looking offended, the fat man insists he was only trying to help and starts scolding Lee Tian-ran, who, annoyed, tells him to clear the way. Frustrated, Lee Tian-ran pulls out his gun and points it at the fat man. He threatens to shoot if the man doesn't leave immediately. Terrified and sweating, the man quickly agrees to leave. He returns back to his van, having failed to scam Lee Tian-ran, and slamming the van door shut, he drives off to the side, clearing the road. Lee Tian-ran continues driving forward. After a while, he gets out of the jeep and walks towards a damaged building. Entering the building, he starts climbing the stairs. Arriving at his ex's apartment, he knocks on the door, calling out for her. Receiving no answer, Lee Tian-ran assumes she isn't home and retrieves a key from under the mat. He swings the door open to find the apartment very dark inside and begins calling out for his ex. As he examines the room, Lee Tian-ran notices it's cluttered with litter and scattered items. This is odd since he knew his ex was a tidy person and never left her room in such disarray. His eyes fall on a table where he spots contaminated fruit and a pill box. Approaching the box, he picks it up and reads that it contains Tian-ran's antibiotics, wondering how Zhonglin could have bought them given the company's poor reputation. Growing increasingly suspicious, Lee Tian-ran inspects the apartment closely but finds no traces of blood or toxic food. Observing the mess, he notes that it's inconsistent with Zhonglin's usual habits. With the door locked from the outside and no signs of tampering, everything seems too deliberate, leaving Lee Tian-ran to wonder where Zhonglin could have gone in this apocalypse. The B&B ranked shelter is equipped with the level 1 shelter skill called Eye of Reality, which displays objects and creatures digitally, and the level 1 shelter authority for remotely controlling a 30-acre area for fishing, farming, and construction. Lee Tian-ran plans to upgrade the farm once he earns enough points, hoping the dilapidated level 1 greenhouse won't hinder the development of anti-radiation crops. He slams the spade into the ground, digging up the earth. As he stands upright to wipe the sweat from his forehead, Li Han calls out to him, saying the seeds are sprouting. She then invites Lee Tian-ran to come and look at the small bud. While Li Han gazes at the bud with wide-eyed amazement, Lee Tian-ran walks over to inspect. The buds are tomato seedlings with 48 hours until they mature. Seeing them, Lee Tian-ran feels pleased, as they are anti-radiation rank seeds. With such a short maturation period, Lee Tian-ran is optimistic and hopes to earn more points, making survival easier for both him and Li Han. Li Han, relieved that the new seeds succeeded, praises Lee Tian-ran for his skills, and he asks if she remembers the rules he set. Confidently, Li Han recites the rules. Never eat food not given by Lee Tian-ran. Don't leave the farm without his permission. Run and hide if she encounters any strange animals, and keep an eye on Xiao He to prevent it from eating random things. After the anti-radiation crops mature, Lee Tian-ran harvests them, selling 70% for points and preserving the rest in his inventory for food. The system asks if Lee Tian-ran is sure he wants to recycle the 200 kilograms of anti-radiation crops, And he confirms. The system successfully recycles the crops and awards Li Tianran 2,000 points, after which he stores the remaining crops in his inventory. The system congratulates him for completing his first recycling and earning an achievement, rewarding him with 2 AI work robots. Surprised by the high reward, Li Tianran realizes that achieving more milestones could yield further rewards. Deciding to check out the AI robots, he summons them but finds them small and seemingly insignificant. He gets the feeling that the tiny AI is staring directly at. Suddenly, the AI jumps from Li Tianran's arm and begins acting in a peculiar manner. Li Tianran observes the AI harvesting the crops and wonders if it can sense his thoughts, allowing him to command it mentally. That evening, to celebrate the sprouting seeds, Li Tianran prepares a grand meal, prompting Li Han to ask why they are having such a feast when he previously said they should conserve food. Smiling, Li Tianran assures Li Han that they can always grow more crops, so it won't matter. Li Han's eyes light up with admiration for Li Tianran. Li Tianran advises Li Han to keep their food secret from outsiders to avoid theft, and she promises to do so. She then gives a drumstick to Xiao He for protection, and he eagerly opens his mouth, drool dripping down. With Xiao He's mouth stuffed with meat, Li Han hugs him tight, saying he is the best. But thinking of Xiao Bai, she looks gloomy and asks if he is feeling better. Seeing Li Han's sadness, Li Tianran comforts her, saying that Xiao Bai is only temporarily wounded and will come out to play once he recovers. He also tells Li Han not to disturb Xiao Bai in the attic, and she agrees. In a flashback, Li Tianran visits Xiao Bai in the attic, where Xiao Bai is locked in a small cage. Upon seeing Li Tianran, Xiao Bai begins growling menacing. Something startles Li Tianran, pulling him out of the flashback. The system issues a warning that someone is attempting to intrude, and Li Tianran instructs it to show him the monitoring screen. The system describes the intruder's appearance and displays his face on the screen. Currently outside at the gate, shocked, Li Tianran recognizes him as his Uncle Nan. Walking out to the gate, Li Tianran asks Uncle Nan if something is wrong. Seeing Li Tianran, Uncle Nan throws his half-cigarette down and says he needs help from Li Tianran. Desperately gripping the gate bars, Uncle Nan asks if Li Tianran has any extra food, claiming his own was stolen, and requests a loan, citing the high cost of food. Li Tianran remains silent for a moment, considering the request. He then apologizes, saying he doesn't have much food himself because the valuable crops were destroyed by mutations. Uncle Nan accepts this and mentions he's been turned away by many relatives. Feeling sympathetic, Li Tianran agrees to lend him a small amount of food as thanks for past help. Uncle Nan's face lights up with relief and gratitude. A few minutes later, Li Tianran brings some instant noodles to the gate and wishes Uncle Nan luck for the future. Thanking Li Tianran, Uncle Nan takes the noodles and wishes that luck would be shared among them all. As Uncle Nan walks away, Li Tianran reflects that the food he gave will last his family only 3 to 5 days and plans to discreetly provide more food to Uncle Nan at night to avoid drawing attention. That night, as Li Tianran and Li Han head out in the jeep, Li Han asks where they're going, and Li Tianran explains they are delivering more food to Uncle Nan. Li Han recalls Uncle Nan as an enthusiastic older man and remembers that an older brother living with Nan used to give her candies. Soon, the jeep arrives at a small town. Li Tianran notes the eerie silence, with no animal sounds, and suspects that people have gotten rid of their pets. He parks the jeep outside Uncle Nan's house. He and Li Han get out, carrying the rations. Suddenly, a scream startles Li Tianran as a man's voice questions his son, Xiao Tian, about what he ate the day before. While the son begins coughing violently, the man, Uncle Nan, is seen desperately trying to comfort his son, who is coughing up blood. Uncle Nan sobs bitterly, holding his sick son and asking what has happened to him. Xiao Tian coughs harder, vomiting blood, prompting Uncle Nan to shout even louder. Watching from outside the window, Li Tianran wonders what has happened to Xiao Tian. Li Han asks if Xiao Tian will die due to the blood loss, and Li Tianran assures her it will be alright, telling her to stop looking. Li Tianran recognizes the symptoms as similar to those seen after consuming radioactive vegetables. An idea occurs to him: Xiao Tian could serve as a test subject, with his survival or death dependent on the situation. Meanwhile, Uncle Nan continues to weep, cursing the hospitals and doctors for their lack of resources. Xiao Tian starts crying as well, and Uncle Nan, distraught, wonders what he should do. Xiao Tian's eyes turn red as he coughs up more blood. Suddenly, a stone shatters a nearby window, causing Uncle Nan and Xiao Tian to look up in alarm. The stone lands with a small thud inside the room. Uncle Nan shouts for the person who threw the stone to reveal themselves, but Xiao Tian weakly asks his father to wait. Xiao Tian points to the window, indicating something outside, and Uncle Nan looks to find a bag of food hidden against the wall outside. Li Tianran listens as Uncle Nan expresses joy at finding fresh vegetables. Remembering the object that smashed the window, Uncle Nan discovers it's a paper wrapped around a stone and a carrot. The note claims that no hospital can cure Xiao Tian, but eating the carrot will make him fine, leaving Uncle Nan angry and convinced someone is pranking him. He laments the uselessness of the vegetables and cries, calling himself helpless. Overcome with grief, Uncle Nan hides his face in his hands and sobs uncontrollably. Xiao Tian, mustering the last of his strength, calls out to his dad, and grabbing his father's hand, Xiao Tian mutters that he wants to try the carrot. He reasons that he will die whether he lies there or tries to fight back, so he chooses to try and live. Uncle Nan remains silent as Xiao Tian tears up. He then picks up a carrot and gives it to Xiao Tian, telling him to chew it. Xiao Tian takes a bite of the vegetable and begins chewing. He suddenly screams in horror and starts twitching on the bed, causing Uncle Nan to shout out in panic. Xiao Tian vomits dark blood, and Uncle Nan, frantic with worry, screams louder. As the vomiting lessens and the blood decreases, Xiao Tian seems to be improving, and a smile begins to form on Uncle Nan's face. From his hidden spot, Li Tianran watches with satisfaction at the change in Uncle Nan's tone. Suddenly a street lamp begins to flicker on, casting bright light onto the street. Realizing the power has been restored, Li Tianran hopes the signal will be good. He takes out his phone and dials Zhonglin's number. The call connects, but then announces the number is unavailable. At that moment, a phone rings inside someone's pocket somewhere else. The phone belongs to a person in the back of the vehicle who looks passed out, while the two men in the front find the ringing annoying. The man not driving retrieves the phone, notes it's from Zhonglin, and exclaims that the signal is back, while the driver tells him to turn it off. With an evil grin, the non-driving man speculates about the food they'll get after delivering Zhonglin, and the driver assures him they won't need to worry about food and drink for at least a month. The non-driving man asks what the buyers will do with these people, and the driver replies that it doesn't matter as long as they receive the money in return. On the way back to the farm, in the jeep, Li Han exclaims that Big Brother Xiao Tian is very powerful. Extending her arms to demonstrate, she remarks on the amount of blood Xiao Tian vomited and how he still recovered after eating the carrot. She notes that Xiao Tian's body changed from gray to blue quickly and, with an amazed look, exclaims how cool that is. For the rest of the journey back, Li Han continues to rave about Xiao Tian's abilities and expresses her desire to become similarly strong. Suddenly, something jumps onto the jeep's rooftop. A loud thud shakes the jeep, causing Li Han to yelp in surprise while Li Tianran looks up, puzzled by the noise. A large, black hand with long, sharp nails appears, revealing a dark creature with large, glowing eyes through the jeep's front windscreen. The creature, a mutated monkey, lets out a deafening roar at the sight of Li Tianran and Li Han. Terrified, Li Han closes her eyes as Li Tianran grips the steering wheel tightly and tells her to hold on. The jeep suddenly crashes into a metal bar at the road's edge, causing a burst of smoke and dust. The jeep jerks violently, and the monster roars loudly, clinging tightly to avoid being thrown off. Li Tianran draws his gun and tells Li Han to get down as she covers her ears. He fires a shot upwards at the monster perched on the roof. The monster leaps forward, landing on the jeep's front hood, directly over the engine. Teeth clenched, Li Tianran slams the gas pedal and accelerates. This causes the monster to slide off the hood and towards the wheels. Realizing what's about to happen, Li Tianran tries to cover Li Han's eyes, though she already has them shut. The monster loses its grip and falls, getting run over by the speeding jeep with a final, loud roar. With the monster now incapacitated, Li Tianran aims his gun at it. He fires, creating a large gaping hole in the monster's head. Once the monster is dead, Li Tianran steps out to examine it. He turns the monster onto its side and is astonished to find a serial number 05 tattooed near its shoulder. Questions flood Li Tianran's mind as he wonders about the origin of this creature and why it appeared when there are no nearby zoos or farms. He recalls the antibiotic he had seen in his ex's apartment and notes the suspicious nearby factory producing that medicine. The Tianrun factory is a tall, ominous skyscraper, shrouded in darkness, with ominous thunder rumbling as if the sky itself condemns the place. It starts to rain back at Li Tianran's farm. Li Tianran tells Li Han he has something to handle and instructs her to watch the animation until he returns. He goes to visit Xiao Bai, still confined in a small cage. Kneeling beside the cage, he sits down and faces Xiao Bai. Upon seeing Li Tianran, Xiao Bai stands on its legs and begins growling at it. Li Tianran, wearing thick gloves, sits cross-legged, closes his eyes, and takes a deep breath. The system appears and asks if Li Tianran wants to use all the medicinal carrots, and Li Tianran presses yes. He forces a carrot into Xiao Bai's mouth, explaining that the carrot can remove toxins from irradiated vegetables, hoping it will cure Xiao Bai. After forcing the entire carrot into Xiao Bai's mouth, Li Tianran holds it shut. He prays silently that the cure will work and then releases Xiao Bai. To his shock, Xiao Bai opens its massive mouth and snarls, lunging at Li Tianran. As a loud and powerful thunder roars across the sky, Li Han gives a concerned look. Frightened by the thunderstorm, she wonders why Li Tianran isn't back yet. Feeling anxious, she decides to find Li Tianran herself. She goes to the basement where Li Tianran is and quietly opens the door, creeping towards him. When she's close, she jerks Li Tianran from behind, attempting to scare him. Instead of being scared, Li Tianran looks concerned and turns around, while Li Han laughs and asks if he was frightened. Suddenly, Li Han notices something and her expression changes to one of horror. She sees the lifeless body of her beloved dog, Xiao Bai, lying on the floor, covered in blood. Overcome by shock, Li Han nearly faints as Li Tianran rushes to catch her. Worried, Li Tianran asks Li Han to pull herself together. Through tears, Li Han demands to know why Xiao Bai was killed and questions the effectiveness of the carrots. Embracing Li Han tight, Li Tianran explains that the carrots cannot cure mutated beings and that Xiao Bai is gone, leaving Li Han weeping bitterly and unable to accept the news. She then lets out a heartbreaking cry of grief, mourning the loss of her beloved dog. Blazing fire and smoke billow upwards into the sky, with only a few blackened, charred branches remaining where Xiao Bai's body is buried. Standing before the grave, Li Han bows her head in silent grief, while Li Tianran stands beside her quiet. Taking Li Han's hand, Li Tianran points out that it's getting colder and suggests they should go back. Later that day, Li Han sits in front of the TV, watching animation, as Li Tianran calls her to eat, claiming he has cooked her favorite food. Li Han doesn't move or acknowledge the call, continuing to stare at the TV. Sighing, Li Tianran leaves the food on the table and heads out, instructing Xiao He to keep Li Han company in the house. Outside, the radiation-resistant crops have matured and are ready for harvest, so Li Tianran spends most of the morning harvesting. He gathers 500 kilograms of radiation-resistant crops and 10 kilograms of ancient medicinal crops. Feeling pleased with the haul, he exchanges most of the harvest for points and successfully redeems them. The level 1 dilapidated greenhouse upgrades into level 2 ordinary greenhouse. Suddenly, the system warns Li Tianran that his level 3 defense shelter can only repel small animals and suggests setting up a stronger defense. Li Tianran agrees with this and decides to focus on enhancing the safety of his farm, so he upgrades the wall reinforcement from level 1 to 2, making it stronger and more durable. He also purchases a perimeter power grid for the wall using 500 points and installs a radar parade at level X1. Realizing he doesn't have many points left, he decides to get mechanical guards for Li Han. Browsing the shop, he spots an item costing 3,500 points, which he currently lacks. He plans to sell some grains from the warehouse to gather the necessary points. After accumulating enough points, he purchases the mechanical guards, spending 3,500 points. The purchase is successful, and Li Tianran now has a level 1 hummingbird and a level 2 hound, both mechanical robots. To test their power, he instructs the hummingbird to crush fallen leaves, and the bird swooshes through the air, efficiently cutting. Impressed by the hummingbird's precision, Li Tianran feels relieved to have an air patrol sniper. Next, he tests the hound's strength by instructing it to crush a large boulder. The hound opens its mouth wide and charges up an energy attack. A second later, it fires a powerful laser from its mouth, striking the boulder and breaking it into chunks. Li Tianran is again impressed by the hound's offensive abilities and feels much more relieved now. Later, he returns to the house and calls out to Li Han, who is still engrossed in front of the TV. The hound approaches Li Han and starts sniffing her. Li Han turns around to see the hound better. Li Tianran tells her that the hound will now follow and protect her. He suggests giving the hound a name and asks if Xiao Bai would be suitable. With teary eyes, Li Han agrees to the name suggestion. Meanwhile, at Tianrun, someone reports that the out-of-control samples have been cleaned up. The reporter informs the man in the suit that only the data for number 7 are steadily rising and can now penetrate 5mm steel plates, prompting the suited man to ask about the situation on the other side. The reporter explains that Vice President Ren is unhappy with their failure to donate medical equipment and warns that if she finds out, it could lead to trouble with the head office. Pulling out the chair and sitting down, General Manager Liang Tuanyu of Tianrun Pharmaceutical, the suited man, gives a wide grin. He dismisses the vice president as just a girl with little background, suggesting that if they act secretly, she won't know what to investigate, and the reporter asks about the head office. Liang Tuanyu orders the reporter reporter to tell Chen Na to keep an eye on Ren Xiao to prevent her from ruining his business and instructs him to leave. Liang Tuanyu turns his chair to face the glass windows and sees the sign Treasure Land generates gold on the neighboring building. With a wide smirk, he hopes there will be a great treasure. The vice president, Ren Xiao, hurries to Liang Tianyu's office, asking where he is, while her assistant runs after her, saying Liang Tianyu isn't there. Ignoring the assistant's attempts to stop her, Ren Xiao forcefully pushes open Liang Tianyu's office door. Angrily, she demands to know what Liang Tianyu is thinking, criticizing him for focusing on animal experiments rather than producing medicine for the company. Turning his chair to face her, Liang Tianyu reminds Ren Xiao that she is in his office and can't barge in as she pleases. He explains that as a businessman focused on profit, he doubts any medicine currently available can address the global disease. Standing up, Liang Tianyu walks toward Ren Xiao, suggesting that if they could develop a solution for the ongoing virus, it would be highly rewarding, even for her as a shareholder. Forcing a smile, Ren Xiao asks if there has been any progress in his research and says she will visit the lab to check. Liang Tianyu hastily claims he was just joking and that his team hasn't developed a cure yet, asking if she could invest more manpower to speed up the process. Ren Xiao insists on visiting the lab to verify the progress before deciding on cooperation, and Liang Tianyu agrees, offering to arrange an escort for her. Outside, in the corridor, a man tells Ren Xiao that her time in Liang Tianyu's office was too brief for a thorough scan, revealing that the secret lab's entrance is likely not in Liang Tianyu's office. Ren Xiao asks if the man obtained any statement from the captured scientist. The man reveals that the scientist provided no useful information but has the key card to the lab, which he gives to Ren Xiao. Holding the key card, Ren Xiao examines it closely, pondering the lab's entrance location. Later, the escort, 2Z, takes Ren Xiao to the experimental lab, where Ren Xiao expresses a desire to check on the experimental subjects first. 2Z complies, showing her the animals in large tubes and explaining the processes and results so far. Suddenly, a man rushes in, sounding alarm, and whispers urgently into 2Z's ear, causing 2Z to look shocked. Observing the two men's anxious exchange, Ren Xiao starts grinning. 2Z nervously informs Ren Xiao of an emergency that requires him to leave, and Ren Xiao, smiling, agrees to look around on her own and urges him to handle the emergency quick. Once the men leave, Ren Xiao is alone, exactly as she planned. Pressing her earpiece, she signals the man on the other end to proceed, and he acknowledges before starting to hack the surveillance cameras in the lab. With the cameras offline, he informs Ren Xiao, who instructs him to scan the lab for hidden doors or secret compartments. The man suggests checking the northeast corner, where there is a hollow in the wall, and warns her that she has only 30 minutes to find out everything. Ren Xiao presses the button in the hollow. Instantly, a hidden door in the wall opens, releasing smoke and gas. Ren Xiao peeks into the newly revealed room and is shocked at first glance. Seeing humans trapped in tubes for the experiment instead of animals, she notes that the situation is worse than she had predicted. The man on the other end asks if he should contact the head office, but Ren Xiao tells him to wait as she sees something even stranger. Inside the largest tube is what appears to be an artificial mermaid, with stitches visible all over its body as if sewn together. Ren Xiao reads the description of this experiment and curses Liang Tianyu. Meanwhile, back at the farm, the system informs Li Tianran that the radiation-resistant corn is ripe for harvest. Li Han, with a dreamy expression and sparkling eyes, goes to help Li Tianran harvest. Holding up a corn cob, she expresses her desire to grill it later. Smiling, Li Tianran asks if she's already hungry, to which Li Han confirms she is. Li Tianran tells her to gather some dry wood so they can grill the corn with butter, and Li Han excitedly agrees, jumping up happily. Later, as Li Han and Li Tianran are busy grilling and eating the corn, Li Han wonders if she'll become as fat as a pig from all the eating. Li Tianran explains that the special crop enhances physical fitness and assures her that, as she is still growing, she won't gain much weight. Li Han continues eating while Li Tianran scans her stats, noting significant physical improvements and hoping she won't turn into a King Kong Barbie. But he shakes his head, realizing he is overthinking. Munching at the corn as she gnaws on it, Li Han exclaims it's so good, and Li Tianran offers to grill her another spicy one. At that moment, the system informs Li Tianran of a visitor, making him wonder who could be visiting at this time. The visitor turns out to be Xiao Tian, carrying the food Li Tianran had given him earlier. Walking towards the gate, Li Tianran questions Xiao Tian about his unexpected visit. Upon seeing Li Tianran, Xiao Tian smiles warmly, mentioning that he's brought something in return to thank him for the help the other day. With a short laugh, Li Tianran tells him it's no big deal, as Xiao Tian eagerly extends a food package toward him. Taking the package, Li Tianran Tian Ran curiously asks Xiao Tian where he got all this food from. Brushing his hair nervously, Xiao Tian claims he found the food in his yard, thinking it was sent by some relatives. He adds that he wanted to repay Li Tian Ran's favor and mentions there's something else he needs to ask, to which Li Tian Ran allows him to speak. Nervously clutching his clothes, Xiao Tian asks to borrow Li Tian Ran's truck to visit a new grain store nearby. Li Tian Ran agrees, and even more anxiously, Xiao Tian admits that although he can drive, he hasn't received his driver's license yet. Realizing what Xiao Tian truly wants, Li Tian Ran asks if he should drive him to the shopping center, and Xiao Tian quickly agrees, saying it's not far from here. Xiao Tian promises it won't take long and requests Li Tian Ran's company, which makes Li Tian Ran think about the mechanical guards protecting the farm, allowing him to leave for a few hours. Agreeing to go with him, Li Tian Ran sets the condition to return before noon, which makes Xiao Tian grin widely. Preparing to get into his jeep, Li Tian Ran instructs Lin Han to stay at home and not to open the door for anyone. Confidently, Lin Han assures him that Bai, the mechanical hound she renamed, is more than capable of handling any trouble. Ruffling her hair, Li Tian Ran tells Lin Han he's going shopping with Xiao Tian and promises to bring back candy, prompting her to excitedly say she wants to greet him. Playfully pulling her cheek, Li Tian Ran reminds her not to show Bai to others, and Lin Han protests, insisting that at 6 years old, she's no longer a child. Indulging her request, Li Tian Ran drives the jeep outside the gate, where Xiao Tian is already waiting. Looking out of the front window, Lin Han happily calls out to Xiao Tian, expressing joy at seeing him in good health. Pulling Lin Han's head back into the car, Li Tian Ran instructs her to let Xiao Tian, who looks slightly surprised, get inside first. As the two drive off, Lin Han, standing by the gate with crossed arms, calls Li Tian Ran stinky for not letting her properly greet Xiao Tian. Deciding to entertain herself, Lin Han heads back inside to watch cartoons. Meanwhile, Li Tian Ran and Xiao Tian continue their journey to the shopping center. Reflecting on Lin Han's behavior, Li Tian Ran admits that she does have a tendency to speak without thinking. After a brief silence, Xiao Tian nervously asks if it's safe to leave Lin Han alone at home, given how chaotic the world has become. He then inquires if Li Tian Ran has left any self-defense tools for her, but Li Tian Ran notes that even if she had weapons, she wouldn't know how to use them properly. However, he reassures Xiao Tian by explaining that the electrified fence surrounding the farm makes it impossible for intruders to enter. Hearing this, Xiao Tian breathes a sigh of relief, saying he feels reassured now. Suddenly, something vibrates, and Xiao Tian quickly pulls out his phone. Glancing sideways, Li Tian Ran notices Xiao Tian typing something on his phone. It appears Xiao Tian is being cautious of Li Tian Ran's watchful eyes. After putting his phone away, Xiao Tian laughs nervously, explaining that he's short on cash and will borrow some from friends. However, Li Tian Ran remains silent, suspecting something suspicious. Meanwhile, back at the farm, Li Han is full of energy, shouting excitedly as she watches a heated battle on TV, with Xiao Hate barking along with her. She's watching Rainbow Warriors, a show about characters who can change colors, and she suddenly recalls that Xiao Tian's body color had also changed. Thinking back, Li Han remembers that last time Xiao Tian's body was green, and now it's red, making her wonder excitedly if he might be a rainbow warrior too. Passing Xiao Tian a small bundle of money, Li Tian Ran startles him by telling him to take it. Li Tian Ran says that since Xiao Tian doesn't have any money, he should accept it, but Xiao Tian, looking surprised, says it's too much considering Li Tian Ran has already helped his family a lot. However, Li Tian Ran thrusts the money at it, insisting he just take it. Still looking uncertain, Xiao Tian takes the money, but before he can speak, Li Tian Ran warns him to keep quiet while he's driving. Deeply grateful, Xiao Tian promises to repay Li Tian Ran's kindness in the future. With the radio guiding them to the newly opened shopping center, Li Tian Ran continues driving down the empty highway. The radio instructs to go 300 meters ahead and turn right, then 200 meters to the fork in the road, but Xiao Tian seems troubled as they approach. When the radio prompts a right turn 100 meters ahead, Xiao Tian suddenly grabs the steering wheel and tries to turn it around. Forcing a nervous smile, he claims that the road on the right appears to be closed. Then, he suggests they take the left road instead. Li Tian Ran slams on the brakes, bringing the jeep to a sudden screeching halt. Slamming his hand on the seat in anger, Li Tian Ran insists the road isn't closed, claiming he's traveled it before and demanding to know how Xiao Tian knows, to which Xiao Tian nervously replies that a friend told him. With a serious tone, Li Tianran asks which friend, then orders Xiao Tian to call and verify. Trembling, Xiao Tian pleads with Li Tianran to stop asking questions and turn around before it's too late. Now shaking all over, Xiao Tian begs Li Tianran to trust him just this once. Confused by the situation, Li Tianran is baffled but listens to Xiao Tian's request and turns the jeep left. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a tracking device shows Li Tianran's jeep diverting, prompting someone to curse in rage and slam his fist into the screen. A man in glasses, gritting his teeth, snarls that something has gone wrong. The driver asks how Xiao Tian could betray them, while another man, sitting in the back, asks the one called Nan what they should do next. Pressing his earpiece, Nan calmly says he was prepared for this and speaks into it. He informs others that the target is heading their way and orders them to block their escape and cut them off. Driving faster, Li Tianran demands to know what's going on. Gripping his head, Xiao Tian breaks down into tears, apologizing repeatedly for betraying him. Tears stream down his face as he admits that his father was captured, blaming himself for everything. Li Tianran urges him to calm down and explain who the kidnappers are and what they want. Xiao Tian reveals that the kidnappers are from Tianran, aware of Li Tianran's radiation medicine, and plan to lure him away from the farm to capture Li Han and blackmail him for the cure. Shocked, Li Tianran is horrified, reminding Xiao Tian that Li Han is only 6 years old and he was willing to let her be kidnapped. Xiao Tian tearfully says they threaten his life, leaving him with no choice. Suddenly, Li Tianran's eyes widen as he spots a car tailing them, rapidly closing in on the jeep. Seeing the car, Xiao Tian begins cursing in fear, realizing the enemies have already caught up, while Li Tianran shouts at him to shut up. Still processing everything, Li Tianran questions whether all Xiao Tian's recent requests were just a test. Now understanding, Li Tianran realizes why Xiao Tian asked earlier about the farm's security. He also figures out that when Xiao Tian was on his phone, it was likely to message the other party. At this very moment, the people from Tianran have surrounded the farm, bringing a large dozer to destroy the walls. Xiao Tian sobs harder, apologizing again, explaining that his father was taken hostage, and he begs Li Tianran to give him the medicine. Clutching the steering wheel tight, Li Tianran says he'll deal with Xiao Tian later, but for now, he's focused on ensuring none of the intruders make it out of his farm alive. After Xiao Tian was cured, his father, Nan, was relieved, and Xiao Tian explained that he got contaminated after eating an apple he found. He mentions that they had been eating nothing but gruel for days, so he was tempted by the apple. Smiling, Uncle Nan grabs Xiao Tian's hand, saying he borrowed some good food, and they also received a wave of food drops, noting that the gods are looking after them. Xiao Tian remains silent as Nan praises their ancestors for blessing Xiao Tian with life. However, Xiao Tian doubts if gods exist, thinking they wouldn't allow such a calamity to befall the world if they did. With a bag of fresh food nearby, Nan asks Xiao Tian if he's hungry. He offers to prepare some nice food, pointing out that Xiao Tian still needs to recover fully. Suddenly, Xiao Tian stands up abruptly, startling Nan. As Xiao Tian rushes out of the room, saying he'll be back soon, Nan calls after him, asking where he's going. It's nighttime, with a crescent moon shining bright, and a knock on someone's door wakes them up, prompting them to ask the knocker to stop. Opening the door, a man named Miao sees Xiao Tian standing there. Annoyed, Miao asks what Xiao Tian wants, and Xiao Tian explains that his house was robbed, so he wants to check the surveillance footage. Shocked, Miao listens as Xiao Tian points to the nearby camera and asks if it's a 360-degree wireless system, which Miao confirms. Xiao Tian then requests the footage of the area outside his house. Seconds later, he begins to nervously review the recordings in the surveillance room. Excited, Xiao Tian is eager to find out who saved him. In the footage, he spots a familiar jeep and recognizes its license plate. Later, when Xiao Tian returns home, his father asks where he went, and Xiao Tian replies that he discovered who saved his life. He claims that Li Tianran gave him the cure, which he confirmed by checking the CCTV footage. Delighted, Nan praises Li Tianran as a good man for saving Xiao Tian and providing them with food. However, Xiao Tian doesn't seem pleased and asks if Nan has heard about the Tianrun group paying generously for the cure. Looking suspicious, Nan asks what Xiao Tian is planning, and Xiao Tian responds that he just wants to make life easier for both of them, questioning if Nan thinks their food will last forever. Furious, Nan slaps Xiao Tian, shouting that it's disgraceful to repay Li Tianran's kindness with treason. Nan declares that he's ashamed to have Xiao Tian as a son and orders him to leave. Wiping blood from his mouth, Xiao Tian asks why Nan doesn't understand their situation, pointing out that they can only rely on themselves to survive. Back in the present, Xiao Tian, after betraying Li Tianran, felt guilty at the last moment and warned him that Tianran was after him, leading to the current chase. Driving his jeep as fast as possible, Li Tianran realizes he can't shake them off. Suddenly, he spots 2 more cars blocking his path. With no escape route, Li Tianran brings his jeep to a drifting halt. The cars chasing him also stop. Now trapped between cars in front and behind, Li Tianran has no choice. He exits his jeep, dragging Xiao Tian out by the neck with his arm. A man exits one of the cars and introduces himself as Chenan from the Tianran company, explaining that they know Li Tianran has the cure for the virus outbreak and they only want to take it. Grinning, Li Tianran asks what happens if he refuses. Chenan offers 2 choices. The first is to cooperate and make lots of money. As for the second option, Chenan withdraws a small knife, saying they'll take the cure by force. Li Tianran responds that he found the cure by luck, but there was only one, and he used it on Xiao Tian, so they chased him for nothing. Chenan scoffs, accusing Li Tianran of refusing to cooperate even at death's door. He then instructs his men, who infiltrated the farm, to capture Li Han and feed her poisonous fruits. Smirking, Chenan claims his men are protected against the farm's electrified fence and tells Li Tianran to reconsider, but suddenly stops, looking shocked. Flames seem to dance around Li Tianran, startling everyone. With a stern expression, Li Tianran declares that he hates being threatened, terrifying Chenan with the look in his eyes. Li Tianran warns them that they're lucky they didn't go to the farm, where they'd have faced instant death. Intimidated, Chenan tries to sound brave, urging Li Tianran to cooperate for the sake of the little girl's life. However, Li Tianran continues glaring at him with the same serious expression. Admitting that Li Tianran won't cooperate, Chenan orders his men to go and make him regret his choices. The intruders outside the farm prepare to invade as the dozer starts striking the wall to bring it down. Watching the intruders through the surveillance screen, Li Han closes her eyes in frustration at the noise, unable to enjoy her cartoons in peace. With repeated strikes from the dozer, a hole begins forming in the wall, causing chunks of cement and rubble to fall. Meanwhile, Li Tianran is being ambushed, delivering a forceful knee strike to one of the attackers. Chenan recoils slightly as the man is sent flying backward and slams into the ground. As Li Tianran continues beating up more attackers, Chenan starts to worry, clenching his teeth. He notices one of his men lying unconscious from a single strike by Li Tianran. Chenan had only wanted to lure Li Tianran out, knowing that the anti-personnel weapons were only found on the farm. At this moment, one of the men is sent to scout the farm, scanning it from afar with binoculars from a cliff. He sees the barriers being blown apart and assumes there must be some powerful explosive devices inside the farm, so he instructs the others to lure out the girl and capture her. Back in the forest, Li Tianran continues overpowering the attackers, and Chenan is stunned by his strength. Grinning, Li Tianran admits he didn't expect the physical enhancement effects of the radiation-resistant crops to be so powerful, as his physical stats, including speed, have significantly increased after just a few days of eating them. As he punches a thug, he realizes his bone density has improved, and his reflexes have sharpened. He recalls that in ancient times, people entered the Tao through the sword, and he decides to enter the Tao using his fists. Suddenly Chenan swings his dagger at Li Tianran, but he swiftly dodges it. Smiling, Li Tianran remarks that he's gradually making his way into the Tao. Taking a few steps back to create some distance, he decides he's tested his physical limits enough and pulls out a gun, aiming it ahead. Seeing the gun, Chenan realizes he made a mistake by not bringing any guns himself. Despite his concern, Chenan tries to act fearless, warning Li Tianran that if he kills him, there will be severe consequences. Still pointing the gun at Chenan, Li Tianran admits that he's right, but he also points out that the others are of no use, then shoots the remaining man beside Chenan. As a bullet hits his shoulder, Chenan leaps aside and falls face first to the ground. He starts cursing as he looks up, seeing his men being shot one by one. Clutching his shoulder wound, he gets up and runs towards the woods, hoping to hide until Li Tianran runs out of bullets. Seeing Chenan trying to flee, Li Tianran fires after him. With bullets whizzing past, Chenan quickly hides behind a large boulder. After a while, Li Tianran stops firing, and Chenan assumes he's out of bullets, feeling relieved. Now grinning, thinking he can attack Li Tianran, Chenan is unaware that Li Tianran is already standing on the boulder, watching him from behind. Opening the system, Li Tianran goes through his inventory. He retrieves another gun, and just then, Chenan turns around and is shocked to see him. Seeing the different gun in Li Tianran's hands, Chenan shouts, asking how he got it. Meanwhile, back at the farm, the last remaining intruder is sent flying backward from a powerful blow to the head, landing among the bodies of his fallen companions. At that moment, the system informs Li Tianran that how Li Han managed to destroy all of the intruders. However, Li Han worries that Li Tianran will think she's a violent child if he finds out what she did to the intruders. Not wanting that, she decides to clean up the area outside the wall before Li Tianran returns. With his face beaten up, a missing tooth, and covered in blood, Chen Nan admits he made a mistake threatening Li Tianran and begs him to stop tormenting him. As Li Tianran raises his fist to strike again, Chen Nan groans that he has told everything and pleads for mercy. With a murderous look in his eyes, Li Tianran stares down at Chen Nan, saying sparing him is impossible, but he can offer him a painless death. Chen Nan promises to answer any questions asked of him. Li Tianran asks who his boss is, and Chen Nan reveals it's Liang Qianyu, the CEO of Tianrun. Li Tianran then asks if anyone else is involved. Chen Nan explains that Liang Qianyu is solely responsible, and even the high-ranking executives are unaware of the plan, as Liang Qianyu wants to impress the headquarters. Hearing the word headquarters, Li Tianran realizes that Tianrun is just a subsidiary of a larger group. Seeing Chen Nan about to pass out, Li Tianran punches him awake and asks if Liang Qianyu has reported the cure to the headquarters. Groaning, Chen Nan says Liang Qianyu didn't report it since another vice president has connections at the headquarters, which might ruin his plans. After getting all his answers, Li Tianran tells Chen Nan to take him to meet Liang Qianyu. When the phone rings, Liang Qianyu answers and asks if the mission is complete, to which Chen Nan replies that the target is under control but insists on meeting Liang Qianyu before revealing anything. Liang Qianyu berates Chen Nan for failing to handle a single person but agrees to meet at warehouse number 78. Before Liang Qianyu can say more, the call disconnects, enraging him, and he throws the phone in frustration. Deciding to replace Chen Nan once he's at the headquarters, Liang Qianyu gets up and leaves his office. Chen Nan appears to have been tied up and forced to relay all the information he just gave over the phone. Li Tianran is driving the vehicle, with Chen Nan tied to the seat next to him, and Xiao Tian sitting in the back seat, thanking Li Tianran for sparing him. Li Tianran clarifies that he's doing this for Uncle Nan and tells Xiao Tian not to get sentimental, prompting Xiao Tian to apologize. A while later, Xiao Tian arrives at the warehouse where Liang Qianyu is already waiting with his henchmen. Seeing Xiao Tian alone with the captive, Liang Qianyu asks where Chen Nan and the messenger are, while Uncle Nan, with his mouth sealed and hands tied, groans upon seeing his son. Holding the badly beaten and bandaged Chen Nan, Xiao Tian claims the messenger was knocked out, and Chen Nan had to go to the restroom due to stomach pain. Liang Qianyu laughs at the captive, whom he believes is Li Tianran, mocking his condition and telling him to speak if he wants Uncle Nan freed. Uncle Nan starts tearing up, silently wishing the person he thinks is Li Tianran not to say anything. Seeing Uncle Nan groaning and twitching, Liang Qianyu gets angry and warns him to stop barking, and then he kicks Uncle Nan, sending him crashing to the ground. Watching his father get kicked, a surge of anger rises inside Xiao Tian. Two other men begin beating Uncle Nan while Liang Qianyu orders Xiao Tian to bring the captive forward. At that moment, a nearby window shatters, and a kick lands right on Liang Qianyu's face. Jumping in and taking Liang Qianyu by surprise, Li Tianran's kick sends him flying backward. The two henchmen look bewildered at the sudden appearance of Li Tianran. With Liang Qianyu on the ground, Li Tianran places his foot on his back and, pointing his gun at him, says the wall wasn't easy to climb. The two henchmen move forward to help their boss, but Li Tianran warns them to stay back, threatening to shoot Liang Qianyu. Turning his head to face Li Tianran, Liang Qianyu, puzzled, asks where Chen Nan is and if he betrayed him. Still pointing his gun at Liang Qianyu, Li Tianran mocks him, questioning how someone like Liang Qianyu became the head of Tianrun and revealing that Chen Nan is right there. Looking over at the bandaged, beaten man supported by Xiao Tian, Liang Qianyu finally realizes it's Chen Nan. Now a bit scared, Liang Qianyu warns that if Li Tianran kills him, Uncle Nan will die. Grinning, Li Tianran replies that he doesn't care and says killing Liang Qianyu would be more efficient. Xiao Tian pleads with Li Tianran not to endanger his father's life. Liang Qianyu's henchmen ask for his orders, and he commands them to kill Uncle Nan. Acting quickly, Li Tianran shoots the two henchmen in the blink of an eye. As the two men fall dead, Xiao Tian rushes to his father, calling out for him. Li Tianran finally shoots Liang Qianyu, killing him. Xiao Tian and Uncle Nan both kneel and bow to Li Tianran, thanking him for his forgiveness towards Xiao Tian. Li Tianran tells Uncle Nan not to feel guilty since he did nothing wrong, and tells Xiao Tian to stop apologizing because he doesn't deserve forgiveness. Li Tianran says he won't harm Xiao Tian because it's unnecessary. Xiao Tian assures Li Tianran that he and his father won't talk about this and asks how he plans to handle the situation. Li Tianran instructs him to pile up the dead bodies, and he says he will bring the car, and Uncle Nan, puzzled, asks what he plans to do. Li Tianran points out that their only option is to eliminate all traces. As Xiao Tian begins piling the corpses, he asks his father if Li Tianran plans to burn them, and Uncle Nan confirms this might be the plan. Uncle Nan walks toward Chen Nan's corpse and begins to pull it toward the pile. Suddenly, Chen Nan, with a glass shard in his hand, swings it at Uncle Nan, catching him by surprise. Uncle Nan recoils as the glass shard hits his thigh, and Chen Nan realizes he messed up as Uncle Nan dodged his attack. Xiao Tian, worried, calls out to his father. As Uncle Nan falls to the ground, Chen Nan raises the glass shard, laughing, ready to finish him off. Just as he swings, Xiao Tian steps in front of his father, taking the attack himself. Seeing his son sacrifice himself, Uncle Nan's face fills with horror. At that moment, Li Tianran drives in, hitting Chen Nan with the car and sending him flying backward. The car crashes into the wall, taking Chen Nan with it. Li Tianran exits the car and rushes toward Xiao Tian, who lies on the ground with his father crying over him. With a large wound near his chest, Xiao Tian looks up at Li Tianran. As Uncle Nan cries, Xiao Tian admits his father was right and calls himself useless. He confesses he recklessly endangered his father for selfish reasons and says he deserves to die so he can finally find peace. Raising his bloodied hand, Xiao Tian asks Li Tianran to thank Li Han on his behalf. He hands Li Tianran a candy, asking if the candies in the food they received were from Li Han. Thanking Li Han for the sweet candies, Xiao Tian closes his eyes for the last time. Realizing his son is truly dead, Uncle Nan falls silent, as if something inside him has broken. Like a broken man, Uncle Nan rises, still clutching the glass shard that killed his son. He walks past Li Tianran and toward Chen Nan. Once near Chen Nan, Uncle Nan raises the shard and takes his revenge. Moments later, Li Tianran and Uncle Nan walk away from the warehouse, now engulfed in massive flames, with smoke billowing into the sky. General Ren looks out of her office window, sipping her coffee when someone arrives to inform her of a major event. Turning around, Ren tells the informant to calm down and speak slowly. The informant reveals that Liang Qianyu is dead, and Ren's hand trembles, spilling some coffee. She goes to the lab where Liang Qianyu's body is stored and asks the doctors if his identity has been confirmed, and they affirm it with DNA tests. The doctor explains that the two confirmed bodies are Liang Qianyu and Chen Nan, but the others didn't match any known identities. Ren says it doesn't matter and asks whether it was murder or an accident. The doctor replies it was murder, as they found bullet fragments in the bodies. Lifting the cloth covering one corpse, Ren sees it burnt to charcoal, and the doctor adds that some bodies showed signs of torture. Horrified by the scene, Ren suspects someone ruthless is behind this, but isn't sure if they specifically targeted Liang Qianyu. Covering the corpse, Ren wonders if the culprit was targeting Tianrun Corporation. If it was only Liang Qianyu, it's manageable, but if it's the company, they are now her enemies as well. Li Tianran buys a bomb button from the system shop and asks Uncle Nan if he's sure about wanting revenge. Uncle Nan confirms he wants it, even if it costs him his life. With Uncle Nan's confirmation, Li Tianran attaches the bomb button to the back of his neck, mentioning that even though most traces are cleared, Tianrun might still find clues leading to him. Li Tianran warns Uncle Nan that the bomb button is linked to his nervous system and not to let what happened to Xiao Tian happen again, to which Uncle Nan assures he'll be careful and doesn't want to explode. With that settled, Li Tianran drives back to his farm. Arriving at the farm, he sees Li Han outside the wall and asks what she's doing. Startled, Li Han, who's in the middle of burying the intruders that attacked the farm, nervously claims she didn't blow anything up and was just playing a digging game. Li Tianran says he knows everything and asks why she's lying, to which a blushing Li Han mutters she didn't want him to think she's violent and push her away. Smiling, Li Tianran tells her she's being silly and that he would never not want her, prompting a teary-eyed Li Han to confess she killed someone. Li Tianran reassures her that no matter what mistakes she makes, he will always be by her side, calling her his most important family member. Gently placing his hands on her head, Li Tianran says he's glad she was able to protect herself and encourages her to always be herself. Moreover, he also praises Li Han's actions in dealing with the intruders on her own. Li Han declares that anyone who dares bully Li Tianran will face her wrath, prompting Uncle Nan to admit the world is changing and that he should adapt as well. Li Han claims that she saw red on the intruders, so she blew them up, as they even dared to shovel down the gate, adding that she hates that color. Surprised, Li Tianran asks if she can see colors on other people too, and Li Han confirms, saying Li Tianran has a relaxing blue color and Xiao He has a green color. She also mentions that brother Xiao Tian had red when she last saw him, and Grandpa Nan is gray with some green. Now even more puzzled, Li Tianran asks if she can only see colors or if she also sees numbers or words, wondering if she might be a player like him. Li Han says there are no numbers or letters, and when Li Tianran asks when she started seeing colors, she replies it began a week ago. Realizing this ability started when the destruction season began, Li Tianran concludes Li Han isn't a player, as she hasn't seen the system, and wonders if this is an evolution caused by eating radiation-resistant vegetables. Noticing Li Tianran's strange expression, Li Han says his smile is scary, and Li Tianran claims he's just really happy. He understands now that the crops redeemed from the food system don't have the same side effects as radiation crops. After eating the radiation-resistant food for days, their physical functions improved, and Li Han even evolved the ability to see emotions. Piecing it together, Li Tianran thinks it's like a proximity program, akin to a humanoid reconnaissance device. His ability is called the Eye of Truth, so he concludes that Li Han's ability must be the Eye of Good and Evil. Smiling, he tells Li Han her abilities are useful, and she asks if she can help him in the future. He affirms, saying she will be his strongest assistant. Pleased, Li Han smiles as Li Tianran rubs her hair and asks if she's hungry, to which she happily replies that she is. Later, Li Tianran sets the table with freshly cooked food. As the three of them sit around the table ready to eat, Li Tianran announces that Uncle Nan will live with them from now on, and Li Han exclaims happily. She then asks where Xiao Tian is, and Uncle Nan, taken aback, says Xiao Tian has gone to another world to atone for his sins. Mouthful of food, Li Han mumbles that it seems those who glow red and have bad intentions don't live long. Grinning widely, she says anyone who bullies Li Tianran or the dogs will pay, and Li Tianran tells her to focus on eating. Uncle Nan, looking at his hands stained with blood, vows he no longer cares as long as he can get revenge for his son, becoming Li Tianran's watchdog. Elsewhere, a man lights a cigar while watching the news on TV, which reports death tolls in various cities. The newsreader says the federal government is transferring grain reserves and that soilless cultivation technology will soon be mass-produced. The reporter reassures the public not to panic when suddenly, someone turns off the TV. Behind the man in the wheelchair, a guy addresses him as father and asks what he can do, and the old man asks if he's read Ren Zhao's report. The son confirms that Liang Tianyu is dead. The old man laments the loss of Liang Tianyu, who was a good earner, and mentions that the mutation process has accelerated, with the military capturing a level 5 mutated beast. Hearing about the level 5 mutated beast, Bai Jingyan, the head office researcher, is shocked, claiming they've only been able to research up to level 3. The old man explains that in the deep forests, far from humans, the abundance of radioactive vegetation has accelerated animal mutations, posing a severe threat to humanity. He then instructs Bai Jingyan to take over the lab and combine the technologies Liang Tianyu used with their own. He then orders Bai Jingyan to extract the virus as soon as possible, and Bai Jingyan agrees. Flinging the file onto the table, Ren Xiao notes that the records before those 2 days were normal, so the cause of Liang Tianyu's incident must be within that time frame. Taking a deep breath to calm her overthinking, she realizes the surveillance records from those 2 days were deleted and, with no clues left, shifts her focus to finding the location of the new research institute. She also remembers she needs to focus on the new person in charge, so she leaves her office to greet the new arrival. A car stops outside the building, and from there, researcher Bai Jianyan exits, receiving a warm welcome from Ren Xiao. Shaking her hand, Bai Jianyan introduces himself, and smiling at him, Ren Xiao introduces herself, then asks who the large person beside him is. Bai Jianyan explains that the large man is his assistant, De Kuei, and asks Ren Xiao if she can show him the new location for the research institute. Meanwhile, Li Tianran is currently going through his inventory. He notices there are many types of fish, but the points required to purchase them are the same when they are at the same level. Selecting a level 1 bluefin tuna, he decides to buy it. Turning to Li Han, he asks if she wants to eat bluefin tuna. Li Han, excited, confirms she definitely wants it, eager for the expensive and delicious fish. Grabbing a shovel and donning work clothes, Li Tianran announces they'll dig a large fish pond together, and Li Han, smiling widely, walks alongside him. Once outside, Li Tianran begins drawing the dimensions of the pond on the ground with a stick. With the dozer ready, Li Tianran suggests they start digging in this location now. Rubbing Xiao Hei's belly, Uncle Nan asks how old he is, commenting that Xiao Hei has grown a lot bigger than before. Li Tianran replies that Xiao Hei couldn't have grown, as he reached adulthood a long time ago. Hearing this, Uncle Nan suggests the food might have made Xiao Hei gain weight, noting that when he last saw him, Xiao Hei only reached his knees. not his thighs. Li Tianran realizes that, since Xiao He is always by his side, he hadn't noticed any changes but now thinks Xiao He might have evolved from eating the radiation-resistant crops, like Li Han. So, he decides to keep a closer eye on Xiao He from now on and not let him eat anything other than safe food. At that moment, the system notifies Li Tianran that someone has arrived to visit, prompting him to turn around and see who it is. Outside the gate are Ren Xiao, Bai Jianyan, and De Kuei, with the system assigning them a threat level of 8. Ren Xiao informs Bai Jianyan that this farm is the location she chose, claiming it's better equipped with security, and Bai Jianyan agrees, saying the farm's size is perfect and he is satisfied. Smiling slightly, Ren Xiao says she's glad Bai Jianyan liked this place, but points out they've been at the gate for a while and no one has arrived yet. Bai Jianyan tells the giant man, De Kuei, to keep knocking. At that moment, Li Tianran walks toward the gate and asks the three what they want. Seeing Li Tianran, Bai Jianyan asks if he's the owner and requests him to open the gate so they can talk face to face. However, Li Tianran refuses to let them in and tells them to speak from outside, and Bai Jianyan says he understands Li Tianran's caution, while Ren Xiao thinks Li Tianran has an attitude. Clearing her throat, she introduces herself as the general manager of Tianran Company, pulls out her card, and shows it to Li Tianran, saying she wants to buy the farm. Li Tianran becomes cautious, realizing Tianran has already found his farm, as Ren Xiao continues, saying Li Tianran can name his own price for the farm and any other requests will be fulfilled. But Li Tianran firmly declares he's not interested, startling Ren Xiao. Ren Xiao asks Li Tianran if he doesn't want to hear the price, suggesting he might change his mind, but Li Tianran states he likes living on the farm and won't change his mind. Suddenly, De Kuei slams hard onto the gate, threatening Li Tianran to not act smart. The system instantly warns Li Tianran of a violent attack on the farm gate and asks if he wants to counterattack, but he orders it to hold off for now. But he is surprised that this huge man managed to trigger a warning from the system with just a single punch. Seeing this violent behavior, Ren Xiao turns to Bai Jianyan, warning him, and Bai Jianyan shouts angrily at De Kuei, causing De Kuei to look frightened. Suddenly, Bai Jianyan smacks De Kuei hard across the cheeks, and he tells De Kuei that he seems to have forgotten his manners and warns him he'll be sent back to the devil's capital if he misbehaves again. De Kuei apologizes. Meanwhile, Li Tianran has a grin on his face as he finds this scene amusing. Rubbing his hands, Bai Jianyan turns to Li Tianran and tells him not to take his subordinate's ignorance to heart, and Li Tianran says it's no problem, then tells De Kuei to come closer. Puzzled by the request, De Kuei moves a little closer, and suddenly, Li Tianran punches him hard in the stomach, causing him to cough up a little blood. Though unknown to the others, Li Tianran has secretly transferred the hummingbird guard to De Kuei's body through the punch contact he just made. As De Kuei clutches his stomach, coughing and groaning, Li Tianran says it's payback for De Kuei's punch to his gate, then tells the party to leave. Bai Jianyan seems to be amused, while Ren Xiao looks nerved, tearing a piece of paper with his phone number on it and apologizing for the inconvenience. Bai Jianyan hands it to Li Tianran, saying he can contact them if he changes his mind. Seeing Li Tianran silent, Ren Xiao thinks he is too arrogant to take the paper, but when he takes it, she gets startled, believing he is looking down on them. With this, the three of them get into their vehicle and drive away. Once alone, Li Tianran notes that he didn't expect people from Tianran to find his farm so quickly and wonders if they were searching for him or if it was by accident as he flings the paper away. He then retrieves the hummingbird guard he sent with the Kuei and looks forward to meeting them again soon. Looking at his freezer, he sees there's not much frozen meat left, and since the next destructive season starts in 10 days, Li Tianran decides to develop a livestock area for fresh meat. It's dinner time, and delicious food is laid out on the table. Holding the sesame sauce she made, Li Han tells Li Tianran to try it, claiming it's super delicious. Agreeing to give it a taste, Li Tianran pulls a chunk of meat from the bowl and puts it in his mouth, saying it's yummy, causing Li Han to look pleased with herself. She says they should eat mutton hot pot in winter because it makes them feel warm and fuzzy. Noticing Li Tianran and Li Han's red cheeks from delight, Uncle Nan asks if they're a little underdressed for the cold weather, and he expresses concern about food due to the uncultivable land. But Li Tianran reassures him without sharing details, and Uncle Nan understands, acknowledging Li Tianran's secrets. Li Tianran reminds Uncle Nan to be mentally prepared, pointing out that the food here isn't ordinary and eating it for long will bring changes to one's body. He adds that the food might even give them unusual abilities and says he's looking forward to seeing what changes Uncle Nan will undergo. and hearing this, Uncle Nan says it sounds like a fiction movie. Grinning, Lee Tian-ran admits Uncle Nan is correct and claims this apocalypse is just like a science fiction movie come true. He also notes Earth's unusual nature, citing dinosaurs as an example, and explains that gaining abilities or superpowers, like in this apocalypse, is more a matter of evolution. Hearing this, Uncle Nan says he has no idea what Lee Tian-ran is talking about, then asks about the people who visited the farm earlier today. Lee Tian-ran tells the truth, saying those people were from Tianrun, and hearing this, Uncle Nan looks startled. Anger takes over him, and he snaps the chopsticks he's holding in half, asking if even a useless old man like himself can get stronger by eating the food on this farm. With a smile, Lee Tian-ran confirms that this is true. Uncle Nan takes a deep breath and says he understands. Later that night, Lee Tian-ran heads out alone on his bike, searching for the hummingbird's location, and the system informs him the target is in Harmony Villa district. At this moment, Renshao takes Bai Jiangyan and Dekue to her house, letting them stay for the night, and promises to arrange a place for them tomorrow. As the hummingbird flies towards the ceiling, Renshao says there are 4 rooms downstairs and tells Bai Jiangyan and Dekue to choose any room they like, saying she'll send dinner to their rooms. Walking up the stairs to her own room, Renshao suggests they rest early, and Bai Jiangyan agrees, suggesting she do the same. As Renshao makes her way upstairs, the hummingbird flies after her, creating a buzzing noise. Hearing the buzzing noise, she turns her head, annoyed, thinking it's mosquitoes making the noise. After taking a warm shower, Renshao dries herself off, feeling exhausted after such a long day, and decides to have a skincare spa now. Ready for her spa, she looks into the mirror and praises herself, calling herself gorgeous. Grinning widely, she calls herself good at her job and more beautiful than others, her eyes sparkling as she begins putting powder on her face. She puts a face mask on. The hummingbird continues buzzing around her, and she gets really annoyed. She starts to suspect it might not be a mosquito but rather a beetle due to the noise it's making, and fuming in anger, she decides to open the window so it can fly out. Walking towards the window, she forces it open wide. She puts her head out the window, takes in the fresh air, and closes her eyes in pleasure. Suddenly, her eyes bulge as she sees Li Tian-ran directly above her, holding onto a long rope. Li Tian-ran also notices Renshao, and they both freeze, bewildered. Li Tian-ran quickly jumps in through the window while Renshao is unable to speak from the sudden shock. He puts his hand around Renshao's mouth, silencing her as she thinks her bodyguards must be useless for letting him in. Li Tian-ran then pushes her back, causing her to fall onto the bed on her back. With his hand still clasped over her mouth, Renshao finds herself unable to move as Li Tian-ran tells her not to scream, and he will free her. Trying to calm down, Renshao nods, agreeing to listen to Li Tian-ran. As Li Tian-ran removes his hand from her mouth, Renshao breathes fast and tells him there's money in the bedside cabinet and asks him to take it and not hurt her. She adds that this world is all about wealth, and hurting her won't benefit him, so he should take the money and leave. Li Tian-ran tells her he isn't here to rob her, and hearing this, Renshao is shocked, thinking he might be after something else. Worried, she asks if he's a pervert and begins calling him different names in a frantic manner. Annoyed by her yapping, Li Tian-ran grabs her lips and forces them shut, telling her to stop talking. He asks if she sent someone to kill Liang Tianyu, noting how long it's taken her to find the murderer, to which she muffles a sound of acknowledgement. Li Tian-ran releases her lips, and when she asks if he's one of Liang Tianyu's men, he replies that Liang did him a favor and he seeks to avenge him, asking for details about Liang's death. Renshao says she and the police are investigating but haven't found out who the culprit is yet. Pointing at Renshao, Li Tian-ran says that since she took over Liang's position, she might have killed him herself. Angry, Renshao says there's no evidence and mentions that Liang Tianyu had many enemies, so anyone could have killed him, but Li Tian-ran expresses disbelief that no suspects have been found yet. Renshao claims the culprit destroyed everything, so there's no way for her or the police to know who to suspect. Hearing this, Li Tian-ran is relieved he's not on the suspect list, and Renshao asks if he will let her go now. At that moment, Li Tian-ran hears footsteps approaching and then a loud banging on the door, with someone calling for Renshao to open it. Reacting fast, he quickly strikes Renshao's neck, knocking her out. Meanwhile, Dekue is banging on the door outside, while the maid says the alarm system went off, meaning something must have happened, and she begs Dekue to save Miss Rin. Dekue raises his knee and slams it hard against the door, shattering it into pieces. With the door broken, they find Renshao lying on the floor, unconscious. Dekue rushes to the window to check for anyone outside while the maid lifts Renshao into her arms, sobbing and asking what happened. Looking down from the window, Dekue shouts at MD not to let the intruder escape. Landing on the ground, Li Tian-ran begins to flee, surprised that the giant man managed to break down the door. Suddenly, a voice says it's rude to break into a girl's room in the middle of the night, startling Li Tian-ran. Turning around, he sees Bai Jiangyan standing nearby and asks how he found him despite leaving no traces. Bai Jiangyan reveals that when Li Tianran stepped on the gravity sensing device he placed at the window, it alerted him because it would be where Li Tianran would escape from. Hearing this, Li Tianran is startled, realizing Bai Jiangyan is really smart. But confident in his strength, Li Tianran charges at Bai Jiangyan. He pulls back his fist and thrusts it straight at Bai Jiangyan, but Bai easily blocks it with his knee. Seeing this, Li Tianran is taken aback and leaps backward in alarm. Smoke rises from Bai Jiangyan's knee where Li Tianran struck him. Grinning, Bai Jiangyan says the bones in the arm are nothing compared to the knee and starts lecturing about how a punch should be thrown and its impact. After his lecture, he asks Li Tianran if he's ever practiced martial arts and tells him to answer. Otherwise, Bai Jiangyan claims he won't let Li Tianran leave. Li Tianran's arm, the one he used to punch Bai, starts trembling. Ready and on guard, Li Tianran wonders if Bai Jiangyan has practiced martial arts, considering how easily he stopped the punch. Hearing unusual sounds nearby, Li Tianran suggests to Bai Jiangyan that they investigate the noise and fight next time they meet. Suddenly, Bai Jiangyan lunges at Li Tianran, ready to attack. He points out that, as he said, Li Tianran isn't leaving this place. But before Bai Jiangyan can strike, a gust of dust flies into his eyes. The dust that Li Tianran threw at Bai Jiangyan causes him to rub his eyes frantically, unable to see. As Bai Jiangyan coughs and struggles with blindness, Li Tianran turns to leave, telling him to wash his eyes. Still coughing, Bai Jiangyan angrily turns around and, with blurred vision, sees Li Tianran about to jump off the wall. Once Li Tianran is gone, someone arrives and calls out to Bai Jiangyan. Two security guards notice Bai Jiangyan on his knees, coughing hard, and ask if he's okay. Bai Jiangyan continues groaning and rubbing his eyes. As he looks up, his eyes appear bloodshot from all the rubbing. With help from the two men, Bai Jiangyan stands up, saying he's fine and just needs to wash his eyes. Sometimes later, checking Ren Zhao's condition, Bai Jiangyan says it's nothing serious and tells the maid that she was only knocked out, though the maid suggests calling the police. Bai Jiangyan notes that due to the current crisis, the police are too busy, and the maid agrees with his suggestion not to call them. At that moment, Du Kuei arrives in the room, shouting that something is wrong. He says he just checked Bai Jiangyan's room and found a hard drive missing. Looking concerned, Bai Jiangyan asks if it's the gray hard drive that's missing. Du Kuei confirms it's the very one, while Li Tianran, who stole the hard drive, is already on his way back to his farm on his bike. Once back at his farm, Li Tianran pulls out his laptop, disconnects the network cable to avoid being traced, and plugs in the hard drive. Excited, he looks forward to discovering the secrets about Tianrun stored in the drive. He sees a single file named Experiment Notes, opens it, and reads its contents, realizing it's not a confidential document but rather details of an experiment that failed and caused mutation and the evolution of living creatures. As he reads further, he becomes more baffled by Bai Jiangyan and his intentions. Bai Jiangyan's plans seem to aim at leading mankind into a new civilization through the catastrophe, where humans will become stronger and rival dangerous animals like tigers and lions. Meanwhile, at Ren Zhao's place, Bai Jiangyan checks his laptop while Du Kuei reports no progress in the search. Bai Jiangyan believes the thief hasn't opened the hard drive yet, as the mother disk isn't picking up any signals. Du Kuei asks if there was something important on the disk, and Bai Jiangyan says it doesn't matter since the drive is full of data, making it hard to understand. However, Bai Jiangyan is a bit concerned that if someone manages to read his notes, they will learn his true intentions. Du Kuei points out that it's a huge coincidence they were attacked just when they arrived in the southern side and asks if number 7 might be behind it. But Bai Jiangyan doesn't think it makes sense. Both Bai Jiangyan and Li Tianran go through Bai's notes simultaneously, reaching the final lines where Bai notes there's no way back for him now. After reading everything, Li Tianran realizes that although his and Bai Jiangyan's ideas are similar, Bai's willingness to sacrifice humans makes him vile. Suddenly, a thought hits Li Tianran. What if Bai Jiangyan and his team have already started experimenting on humans? As planned, Li Tianran starts rearing livestock, including pigs, chickens, and rabbits. Seeing the cute animals, Li Han's eyes sparkle, and she asks Li Tianran where he got all the little cuties, while Xiao Hate sulks from lack of attention. Li Tianran thinks silently, knowing that even if he explains, Li Han won't understand his system in this game. He gets an idea and tells Li Han that he has a Doraemon treasure bag from which he can take out anything. Hearing this, Li Han gets even more excited, turning toward Li Tianran while decorating a bunny's face, who seems to be in tears. Li Tianran tells Li Han not to reveal this secret to anyone, and Li Han firmly agrees she won't. As Li Tianran's eyes fall on the bunny in Li Han's arms, now passed out. He scolds her, saying not to play with their precious food and to put it back in the shed. Learning the rabbit is food, Li Han begins wailing and hugs the rabbit tightly, saying she wants to keep it, while Li Tianran tells her the rabbit's spicy meat is nicer. Li Tianran continues listing different dishes they can make from the rabbit, and hearing this, Li Han feels like she's going to pass out. Her eyes go dizzy, and she declares she'll become a vegetarian from now on. Li Tianran tells Li Han to be grateful for the food and not to waste any, reminding her not to get close to the animals, as it'll be painful to see them die. After a moment of silence, Li Han agrees and hands the bunny over to Li Tianran, promising not to waste any food in the future. At that moment, the system congratulates Li Tianran for producing a rare product, the albino corn, and tells him to harvest it quickly. Seeing that it's a rare product, Li Tianran wonders what it is and tells Li Han to go play while he checks out the cornfield. In the cornfield, he finds a single level 2 albino corn, an extremely rare mutated product from anti-radiation corn, with a 1 in 100,000 probability. Realizing the corn can make someone enter a rampage, increasing their physical strength tenfold for 30 seconds, Li Tianran compares it to Popeye's spinach. He plucks the one and only albino corn and searches the field for more but finds none. Exhausted, he sits down, admitting that such rare products are hard to find and require extreme luck. He also notes that the system never mentions special harvests, making them pleasant surprises, and hopes that intensive farming will yield more rare produce. He wonders if he can get more albino corn but quickly shakes his head, deciding not to rely on it and continuing large-scale farming, viewing rare products as icing on the cake. Meanwhile, Renshao is sitting on her bed at home, browsing through her laptop. She takes a bite of a cookie while continuing to browse. She appears to be watching footage of Li Tianran sneaking into her room and covering her mouth. Biting the cookie hard, she curses the intruder and vows to find him and make him pay. She fumes, calling her security guards useless for failing to stop a single intruder. Realizing that normal means won't help her find the intruder's identity, Renshao starts thinking of other ways. Noticing a strand of hair stuck to her clothes, she concludes it must belong to the man who attacked her. Realizing she's thinking too much about that man, she shifts her focus to finding a way to catch him. Walking out of her room, Renshao looks down at the living room and tells Bai Jianyan she needs to talk to him. Seeing Renshao, Bai Jianyan closes the book he was reading and asks if she's feeling better. Taking a seat, Renshao thanks Bai Jianyan for the massage technique he taught her, saying it was effective in relieving her pain. She then informs Bai Jianyan that she has chosen a new location for his research institute, a quiet and remote factory near the farm, where his work won't be disturbed. Bai Jianyan apologizes for the trouble and asks if there's anything else she needs to tell him, given how early she came. Renshao gets to the point and asks Bai Jianyan, as an expert in biology, if he can help her find a DNA match for a hair strand she found. Looking at the strand of hair, Bai Jianyan says finding a match will be like finding a needle in a haystack, as he'll need to compare it with DNA samples from everyone in the area. And then he asks if the person the hair belongs to is important. Laughing briefly, Renshao says it's not that important and that she just wants to know who the intruder was. Hearing that the hair belongs to the intruder, Bai Jianyan's eyes widen in surprise. Standing up, he says it won't be difficult and promises to help Renshao, who looks taken aback by his sudden change in tone. With a 10% dilution, the injection is completed and administered to the subject for the experiment. As a result, the subject's muscle fibers thicken, and its cellular activity increases by thousands of times. The system begins recording data as multiple eyes appear across the subject's face. The system explains that the eyes are a result of the subject's genes being contaminated by other organisms. The massive chains holding the subject shatter due to its immense strength, and it enters a violent state, letting out a deafening roar. The system declares that the V-shaped virus B34th experiment has failed due to the subject's reaction. The subject begins slamming its paws against the thick glass walls, attempting to reach the scientists on the other side, and the glass starts to crack. Bai Jianyan, the head of the experiment, calmly watches the rampage as the system announces immediate destruction. The subject gets destroyed, ending the experiment. A beautiful house sits under the moonlight in complete silence, but inside the house, it's crowded, with many people walking around. A group of kids are chatting in the far corner of the room, with one of them asking Jingming why he left his younger brother alone, and Jingming claims he has no brother. Instead, he says that the one who's supposed to be his brother is just a bastard. The so-called bastard, standing by himself, appears lost in thought while Jingming and the group plan to tease him. They take him to the fountain and force his head into the water as he struggles to breathe. One boy holds him down while the other kicks him in the back, laughing and calling him a bastard. Jingming watches from afar, laughing, and says since the bastard has the surname Bai, he deserves the bullying, this child being Bai Jianyan when he was younger. Crying bitterly, Bai Jianyan turns to Jingming, begging him to stop and calling him brother, which makes the other boys laugh. Jingming tuts in anger, calling Bai Jianyan dirty and a bastard. Bai Jianyan, in fear, begs Jingming not to hurt him and suddenly wakes up, now and present, sweating heavily. Realizing it was a dream, Bai Jianyan wipes the sweat from his face. He reflects on his brother's bullying and notes that the V-shaped viruses are becoming more stable, promising to surpass his brother once he creates the perfect mutant. A newsreader announces it's been 19 days since the virus emerged, reporting hundreds of mutated livestock found in Nanchi town. Li Han, perched on her pillow with Xiao He beside her, is deeply absorbed in the news. Seeing Li Han watching the news, Li Tianran asks why she isn't watching cartoons, and Li Han replies she's not a child and is trying to follow current events. She tells Li Tianran that she can't always hide behind him and wants to help, but Li Tianran reminds her she can already read people's thoughts, making her a great help. Pleased, Li Han says she wants to grow up quickly to help more, noting that even Xiao He is getting bigger and stronger. Looking at Xiao He, Li Tianran is relieved he hasn't gone berserk and believes Xiao He's body changes are due to eating anti-radiation food. After taking a deep breath, Li Tianran smiles and tells Li Han to get snacks herself if she gets hungry, as he's off to dig the pond. An hour later, Li Han is lying on top of Xiao He, muttering that she's hungry. Suddenly, she hears a noise and turns to see a small box on the table, wondering what it is. She walks to the table, opens the box, and finds 2 level 4 divine grain seeds inside. Excited, she notes that the seeds are glowing intensely. Seeing there are 2, she decides they're perfect for her and Xiao He, since they are also a pair. Without thinking, she eats one seed and gives the other to Xiao He. Chewing the seed, she shudders, finding it unbearably bitter. Xiao He also seems disgusted by the taste, his face contorted, as Li Han rushes to rinse her mouth. After swallowing the seed, Xiao He suddenly feels sleepy and lies down. He instantly falls into a deep and strange sleep. Later that night, the silence of the house is broken by a bark and the creak of the floor. Hearing the noise, Uncle Nan wakes up, grumbling about it. Pointing a flashlight at the corner of the room, he sees something furry causing the noise. Xiao He, now mutated, turns around, bearing sharp and massive teeth. Uncle Nan is taken aback as Xiao He suddenly lunges at him, his mouth wide open, ready to swallow him whole, and Uncle Nan screams in fright. Uncle Nan leaps aside quickly as Xiao He crashes into the wall with a loud bang. The torch slips from Uncle Nan's hand as he turns in horror, asking what is attacking him. Upon closer inspection, he realizes the monster is actually Xiao He. Xiao He, with blazing eyes and snarling teeth, moves forward. Fearfully, Uncle Nan notes Xiao He has transformed into a wolf but looks different from other mutated animals, and he decides to calm him down. Though still unsure, he raises his hand slightly and calls Xiao He's name. Hearing his name, Xiao He reacts but violently shakes his head as Uncle Nan asks if he's hungry. Mustering courage, Uncle Nan extends his arm to pet Xiao He but is stunned when Xiao He barks loudly. Suddenly, Xiao He jumps through the window, shattering the glass, and runs off. Shaken, Uncle Nan shouts after him, calling his name. Xiao He leaps over the tall wall with ease and runs away. Looking out the shattered window, Uncle Nan is shocked to see Xiao He jump the fence so easily. At that moment, Li Tianran rushes in, asking what happened. Uncle Nan quickly explains how Xiao He went berserk, jumped over the wall, and ran away. Li Tianran is puzzled by this strange news. Li Han runs in, calling for Li Tianran and Uncle Nan, shouting that Xiao He is gone from his bed. Li Tianran reassures her that Xiao He is just out for a stroll and will return, but Li Han insists she won't go back until Xiao He is found. She jumps into Li Tianran's arms, worried that Xiao He might become like Bai Jianyan, but Li Tianran assures her not to worry and asks if she gave Xiao He anything to eat recently. Li Han swears she followed his words and only gave Xiao He the seeds from the box. Li Tianran remembers those were the level 4 divine grain seeds. Realizing Xiao He must have evolved, Li Tianran curses, confused about why Xiao He went crazy. He asks the system if the seeds have side effects, but there is no response, so he tells Li Han to go back to bed while he searches for Xiao He. Meanwhile, Xiao He is running deep into the forest, his eyes blazing. He feels hot, with an urge to bite into fresh meat. He wants to attack living creatures but resists the urge to hurt humans, knowing he wouldn't be able to return to his young master. A man hiding behind a tree spots Xiao He and thinks he is the sacred animal mentioned in the oracle. The man wants to take Xiao He back to please his god. Li Tianran, on his bike, checks surveillance guards around the farm but finds no trace of Xiao He. He realizes Xiao He must have left the area and needs to find him quickly before the military police do. Suddenly, he hears someone approaching and turns around, asking who's there. An old woman in a hood walks toward Li Tianran, asking if he's looking for a large black wolf dog. Li Tianran asks where she saw the dog, but instead, she asks if he wants to know the truth behind the apocalypse. She claims the apocalypse was set by the gods because humans were evil and tells him to join her self-help society if he wants to survive. Lee Tianran, unable to believe her claims, still plays along and asks if there are conditions for joining. The woman explains that their society has different membership fees based on rank and says he can bring the wolf dog as a fee. Now annoyed, Lee Tianran suggests the woman should improve her scamming skills before trying to fool people, which angers her as she asks how he dares to disrespect their gods. Lee Tianran apologizes for not wanting to play games, questions if salvation can be achieved through piety, and then drives away on his bike, saying he will save himself. Watching Lee Tianran leave, the woman declares that those who don't believe in the gods will fall into hell for eternity. A few months ago, Lee Tianran parked his jeep and leaned against it as he lit a cigarette and began smoking. At that moment, he heard a small bark coming from one of the bushes nearby and turned to face it. Walking towards the bush, he pushed it aside and saw a dead mother wolf lying on the ground. He assumed the wolf was hit by a car while crossing the road, and as his eyes moved down, he saw a small cub. Lifting the cub off the ground, Lee Tianran was surprised it was still alive and, from the state of the wolf mother's body, thought she must have died a few days ago. The fat and little wolf cub began shaking and twitching, and Lee Tianran called it tenacious. Placing the cub in both hands, Lee Tianran said there were lots of people who had lost their parents as well, and he decided to take the cub with him. At present, that little cub, now named Xiao He, has grown into a powerful, mutated wolf and is currently biting onto someone's leg. The man whose leg is being bitten is crying loudly while his two friends watch from the side. The dude with the gun says they should shake the wolf dog up since their fiend, Xiao Wu, won't be able to hold on any longer. This place seems to be the new experimental facility that Bai Jianyan just got his hands on, and Bai Jianyan walks out, seeing Xiao He and asking those two how this mutated beast got in. The dude with the gun says Xiao Wu was attacked by the beast when he went into the woods to smoke, and hearing this, Bai Jianyan calls Xiao Wu reckless. He asks the man if he is certain the beast was lurking in those bushes, which the man affirms. Learning this, Bai Jianyan thinks the beast must be a high-level mutant since low-level mutant beasts would never hide or lurk anywhere. Moreover, he also notices that this beast hasn't yet killed the man but only bit his leg. While Xiao Wu continues screaming in pain, Bai Jianyan thinks the beast is clever enough to know when to kill and, sensing the danger from the guns, decides to study it to hopefully overcome the instability of the V-virus. And then he commands the man to go and get more men to try and capture this mutated beast before the military police arrive. With a wide grin, Bai Jianyan reminds the men they must be equipped with tranquilizer guns and sedatives so they don't accidentally kill the beast. After a while, a man arrives with the tranquilizer gun and hands it over to Bai Jianyan, who takes it. Raising the gun, he takes a careful aim at Xiao He and shoots. Looking up, Xiao He sees the 3 darts coming at him and quickly leaps out of the way. Bai Jianyan takes another aim while the dude with the gun fires his gun at Xiao He. The bullet hits Xiao He's tail, causing a little blood to splatter out. Looking angered, Xiao He lunges at the dude with the gun and smacks him, sending him falling to the ground. Bai Jianyan hurriedly tries to reload the tranquilizer gun but sees the beast is trying to run. As Xiao He begins fleeing into the dark woods, Bai Jianyan orders his men to chase after it. Meanwhile, Lee Tianran continues his search for Xiao He as the hummingbird number reports back to him that large dog paw prints were found 700 meters southeast. Hearing this, Lee Tianran revs the throttle and heads to the location. After a while, he finds the paw prints and is stunned by how large they are. He also notices the blood on the marks is fresh. He is quite positive these paw prints and the blood belong to Xiao He and wonders how Xiao He might have gotten this badly hurt to bleed this much. With Xiao He running at the front, on Bai Jianyan's command, 3 vehicles chase after him. Sitting beside the driver, Bai Jianyan raises his gun, noting that no mutated animal can move at the speed the wolf dog is, and grins, excited at the thought of capturing Xiao He. He closely observes Xiao He's movements, his muscle tone, his elegant leaps, and finds him a beautiful creature, increasing his desire to capture Xiao He. As Xiao He flees deeper into the woods, the system informs Lee Tianran that their target has been found. Lee Tianran instructs the hummingbird guards to guide him and turns his motorcycle in that direction. The hummingbird guard live streams the scene of Xiao He running and the chase, as Lee Tianran instructs it to zoom in to see who is pursuing Xiao He. As the camera zooms in, Bai Jianyan's face becomes clear, and Lee Tianran is surprised to see it's actually him, the tech nerd. He's puzzled, wondering why Bai Jianyan is after Xiao He, assuming he must want to capture him for research. He pulls up the system, grabs the albino corn, deciding to go all out and not let Bai Jianyan escape this time. Suddenly, a bullet hits the ground inches from Xiao He, and as he continues sprinting, a rain of bullets follows. Bai Jianyan orders 2 vehicles to drive from each side inside and lure the beast into the old factory nearby. The men in the vehicles follow Bai Jiangyan's orders, driving forward and splitting up on either side. Seeing the two vehicles, Xiao He snarls and leaps at a tree, propelling himself forward. Flying towards one of the cars, he lands on top as the driver curses in rage, losing control of the vehicle. The man in car number 2 begins screaming, and car number 1 notifies Bai Jiangyan that their vehicle is down. The driver of car number 2 takes his hands off the wheel and starts shooting at Xiao He. Xiao He seems to have managed to bite the driver's hand, holding it in a tight grip. As the bullets close in, Xiao He sees them, but it's too late to dodge. However, Li Tianran arrives at the last second and catches the bullets with his fingers. His body is glowing, having eaten the albino corn, enhancing his strength and speed. With 26 seconds left before the effects were off. Seeing Li Tianran, the vehicle by Jiangyan is and screeches to a halt. Bai Jiangyan is surprised and puzzled by the glowing white light around the person, while Xiao He recognizes it as Li Tianran. With time running out, Li Tianran decides to act quickly. He sprints toward Bai Jiangyan's car, pulls him out, leaving Bai Jiangyan confused about what's happening. Moving like lightning, Li Tianran becomes invisible from his blinding speed, while a desperate Bai Jiangyan starts shooting, demanding to know what's happening. With 5 seconds left on the buff, Li Tianran appears right behind Bai Jiangyan and lands a powerful punch. The punch strikes Bai Jiangyan in the face, causing his nose to bleed. With 2 seconds remaining, Li Tianran attacks again, sending Bai Jiangyan flying a few feet away. Now, with only 1 second left, Li Tianran suddenly falls to his knees, realizing the power-up has a side effect. Meanwhile, Bai Jiangyan looks up and claims he barely managed to block the attack, otherwise, he'd be in serious trouble. Raising his trembling hand and pointing the gun at Li Tianran, Bai Jiangyan decides to eliminate him, seeing him as too dangerous. At that moment, Xiao He leaps toward Bai Jiangyan just as he's about to pull the trigger. Lunging at Bai Jiangyan, Xiao He bites into his neck as he pulls the trigger. Luckily, the bullet only hits Li Tianran in the shoulder. Xiao He continues sinking his teeth deeper into Bai Jiangyan's neck. Li Tianran is lying unconscious on something furry. He slowly opens his eyes, groaning in pain, and hears Xiao He panting and growling. He realizes he's lying on top of Xiao He, who is walking slowly forward. Xiao He looks exhausted, and suddenly Li Tianran falls off his back onto the ground, with Xiao He passing out beside him. Li Tianran forces himself up, clutching his wound, and walks to Xiao He, asking if he's okay. Seeing Xiao He twitching and drooling heavily, Li Tianran gets worried and asks the system what's happening. Xiao He's condition worsens as his entire body begins shaking violently. Inside Xiao He's body, his DNA appears to be reconstructing due to the bite he gave Bai Jiangyan, accidentally ingesting his blood. It's as if Bai Jiangyan's blood is affecting Xiao He. Suddenly, a silvery smoke surrounds Xiao He, leaving Li Tianran puzzled as he continues calling out to him. The silvery smoke engulfs Xiao He, forming a cocoon around it. Witnessing this, Li Tianran clenches his teeth, baffled by what's happening. Meanwhile, Bai Jiangyan is in the hospital, as the screen shows his heart rate dropping, and the doctor says his condition is critical due to a hard blow to his vital organs. Bai Jiangyan is lying on the hospital bed, hooked up to multiple machines. As the doctor mentions it's a miracle he has survived this long. From outside the room, Ren Xiao urges them to focus on saving Bai Jiangyan, while the man behind her blames Bai's obsession with capturing the mutant animal for his fate. Ren Xiao cuts him off, saying she doesn't want excuses, and asks if they saw the attacker. The man denies it. Turning to face him, Ren Xiao tells him to learn how to lie properly and make a believable story, but the man swears he's telling the truth. Angered, Ren Xiao claims they're getting paid enough and refuses to listen to them shirk their responsibilities. Just then, the doctor arrives to inform them that Bai Jiangyan's heart rate is dropping due to another hematoma in his brain, and says it's pointless to try saving. The doctor makes it clear that Bai Jiangyan can't be saved, and tells Ren Xiao to hear Bai's last words. With an oxygen mask over his mouth, Bai Jiangyan looks up at Dekue and Ren Xiao, requesting they inject him with the V-virus. Shocked by this request, Dekue reminds him that the virus isn't even ready, but Bai Jiangyan protests, saying dying like this or as a monster makes no difference to him, and he wants to take the chance, rather than lose like this. Dekue tells the doctors to prepare to inject 5 milliliters of the V-virus into Bai Jiangyan and to ready the shackles and bomb collar. The doctor asks if Bai Jiangyan wants them to call his family, but he refuses, saying those people aren't his family, just blood relatives, and tells the doctor to proceed. The doctor injects the V-virus into Bai Jiangyan's body. An instant, Bai Jiangyan begins twitching and screaming in agony. Large veins bulge on his face, and his eyes widen in pain. His DNA and RNA begin to disintegrate, and as Bai Jiangyan screams, Ren Xiao covers her mouth in concern. Dekue closes his eyes, unable to watch Bai Jiangyan's condition. Meanwhile, back in the forest, the white smoke cocoon around Xiao He begins to turn to glass, shattering piece by piece. Li Tianran stands on guard, puzzled as the cocoon falls apart. Just like before, silver and white strands of smoke escape from the cocoon cocoon and swirl around. From the swirling smoke, Xiao Hei's paw emerges, leaving Li Tianran bewildered. Xiao Hei has transformed into a werewolf-like creature, standing on 2 feet, his body now a mixture of human and wolf. Smoke billows around Xiao Hei as he looks down at Li Tianran with glowing eyes. With a baffled expression, Li Tianran calls out, unsure if Xiao Hei is still himself. Standing before Li Tianran, Xiao Hei, now taller, continues staring at it. Suddenly, Xiao Hei grabs Li Tianran by the shoulder where his wound is, causing him to groan in pain. Blood spurts from the wound due to the pressure on it. Back at the farm, Uncle Nan tells Li Han that Xiao Hei will be fine and promises her that both Xiao Hei and Li Tianran will return. Shivering, Uncle Nan tells Li Han she'll catch a cold, but Li Han insists she's not cold and will stay until Li Tianran returns. She tells Uncle Nan to feel her hand, claiming it's warm, and when he does, Uncle Nan admits it's indeed warm. Uncle Nan exclaims that the farm's food has amazing effects, and Li Han declares she's now a superwoman. Sitting Li Han on his lap, Uncle Nan offers to keep her company until Li Tianran returns. The night passes, and dawn arrives, spreading warm sunlight over the farm. Waking to the sunlight, Li Han realizes she fell asleep on Uncle Nan's lap. Uncle Nan also wakes up startled when he hears Li Han shout out. Rushing toward the gate, excited to see Li Tianran, Li Han impatiently asks if he found Xiao Hei. Seeing the evolved Xiao Hei carrying Li Tianran, she is in awe, but it seems Xiao Hei, unaware of his strength, reopened Li Tianran's wound by pressing on his shoulder. Smiling, Li Tianran tells Li Han he's brought Xiao Hei back. As Uncle Nan arrives there, he is also bewildered by Xiao Hei's new appearance. Xiao Hei, now evolved into a Czech wolf dog with human-like traits, is dressed by Li Han in pants and a shirt, who runs circles around him, admiring his new look. Excited and happy, Li Han climbs onto Xiao Hei's shoulders, and Xiao Hei admits Li Han is still as naughty as ever. Li Tianran analyzes Xiao Hei, realizing that Xiao Hei lost control and went berserk earlier, but managed to return to his normal self because he didn't want to harm humans. Thinking about it, Li Tianran is certain Xiao Hei integrated human genes when he bit by Jiangyan. Uncle Nan enters with a first aid kit, and Li Tianran asks him to sterilize a knife to remove the bullet from his wound. Hesitant, Uncle Nan warns that it might cause an infection, but Li Tianran assures him it won't. Using the knife, Li Tianran removes the bullet and retrieves an ancient medicine-grade carrot from his system, shocking Uncle Nan. As Li Tianran eats the carrot, Uncle Nan watches curiously, wondering what it is. Li Tianran groans in pain as the wound begins to heal, and within seconds, it's completely healed. Now cheerful, Li Tianran flexes his arm, noting his healed wounds and restored bones. It's a well-known fact that genetic cells constantly die and get replaced by new ones, and during replication, the cell is usually stable and replicates all elements of the old cell. However, under certain conditions, a new gene may suddenly appear, replacing the old one, which is known as a mutant gene. This phenomenon seems to have occurred with Xiao Hei, causing his genes to mutate with human ones, turning him into a cross between a dog and a human. Gene mutations have 2 possible outcomes. The first is beneficial development, like in Li Han, Xiao Hei, and Li Tianran, making their bodies stronger and causing them to evolve. The second outcome is harmful development, as seen in other animals, whose flawed genes turn them wild and zombie-like. Back at the hospital, Bai Jiangyan suddenly snaps his eyes open, breaks the chains binding him, and sits up. He's alive, but his body is severely mutated. Sharp bones protrude from his back, bulging veins cover his chest, and he's baffled by his survival. Still in disbelief, he admits this is a miracle since no human has ever remained conscious after being injected with the V virus. Ren Xiao says that since Bai Jiangyan is alive, their research is a success, and they can move to the next stage, congratulating. But Bai Jiangyan warns it's not that simple, and placing his hand over his heart, he admits that although he survived, the V virus hasn't fully mutated in him. He points out that his mutation failed, and while his strength and speed have improved, his body structure has been altered for the worse. Furthermore, Bai Jiangyan reveals that he has a maximum of 7 days to live unless he can find a perfectly mutated creature and obtain its DNA, shocking Ren Xiao and De Kuei. Bai Jiangyan puts on his clothes, over the large backbone skeleton sprouting from his back, which remains naked and visible. De Kuei informs Bai Jiangyan that Detective Yuan from the Southern Side Military Police Bureau is here to see him. De Kuei suggests they investigate the intruder themselves, and Bai Jiangyan mentions that he's well-versed in boxing and various martial arts. He claims to own a 65 kilograms golden dragon badge for his skills, with reflexes and fitness 2.8 times that of a normal human. No human should have beaten him, yet the intruder did, suggesting the intruder is a mutant. He believes the wolf dog and the intruder must have mutated from the same source, which is why the intruder came to rescue the wolf dog, reminding him of the guy who sneaked into Ren Zhao's room before. Surprised, Dakue asks if Bai Jiangyan is suggesting the two are the same person and says it might be better to inform the military about their research. Bai Jiangyan states that he knows what he's doing and plans to use this information to capture the perfect mutant. He notes that he doesn't have much time, so this is his best option, and Dakue acknowledges this. Bai Jiangyan heads toward Detective Yuan, calling out to her, causing her to turn around. With a smile, Bai Jiangyan apologizes for making her wait and hopes his appearance doesn't frighten her, to which Yuan replies that she isn't scared. Though slightly revolted, Yuan asks if this is what Bai Jiangyan meant by something the military would be interested in. Excusing himself, Bai Jiangyan removes his shirt, revealing his real appearance, startling Yuan. He explains that he's in a state where survival should be impossible and claims that as the bone spur grows, it will eventually pierce his heart, leading to his death, meaning he doesn't have much time. He pulls out the strand of hair Ren Xiao gave him and hopes Yuan will help him find the person, stating the sooner, the better. After thinking for a moment, Yuan smiles and says it will be a pleasure working with Bai Jiangyan. It's nighttime, and the farm is quiet as Li Tianran purchases 19 level 4 divine level powerful seeds. Inside the farm, Li Han and Xiao He are fast asleep. The level 4 divine seed is of cherry tomatoes, and the system displays the requirements for its growth and the effects upon consumption. Reading the effects, Li Tianran smiles widely, realizing the crop promotes evolution and declares it to be the key to the new era for humanity. Thinking about this, he lets out a short snort. He muses that if humans become gods in the future, he will be the one who created gods. He acknowledges that the planting conditions for this crop are harsh, requiring many points in a land upgrade, making it expensive. Nonetheless, he spends 95,000 points to purchase 19 land upgrade coupons, leaving him with 5,680,000 points, and upgrades the land. The upgraded land is nutrient-rich black soil capable of growing crops above level 4 and has a yield-boosting effect on crops below level 3. Realizing the second wave of the destruction season is approaching, Li Tianran complains that growth agents are too expensive. Despite this, he purchases 12 growth agents. These growth agents have limited effectiveness in promoting level 4 crops, so Li Tianran decides to add more agricultural robots to speed up planting while saving the remaining points to upgrade his farm. Before the second wave of destruction season begins, he's determined to harvest as many ripe crops as possible. In the lively night city, skyscrapers with lit windows dominate the view. Two hooded individuals approach a massive door. The woman at the back asks if she'll be able to meet the Holy Lord, and the man in front tells her to convey her findings to the Lord, who will make the judgment. Relieved that she can receive gifts from the Holy Lord, the woman exclaims in joy and begins praising. As the door opens, the woman mutters that her family can survive another month now, as only those who worship the Holy Lord can survive the apocalypse. Entering through the door, the two walk through a dark corridor while the woman continues to mutter. Eventually, they arrive in a large chamber, and the man beside the woman tells the so-called Holy Lord that the woman claims to have discovered a new holy beast. Hearing this, two men in the chamber turn to face them, and the hooded man urges the woman to share what she found. After the woman explains everything, the hooded man claps his hands in approval, saying it's good. With a grin, he declares that this will make the Holy Lord even more powerful. The man in the suit offers congratulations to the Holy Lord, stating that with the nourishment from the new holy beast, the Holy Lord will soon complete his emergence. He then asks if he can see the recent ones. The hooded man says the suited man can take the other holy beasts since the Holy Lord has grown tired of them, as long as he brings back the new holy beast. At that moment, a growling and hissing voice emerges from a dark hole, and the hooded man acknowledges the Lord's words, thanking him for his kindness. The Lord, or whatever he is, continues hissing, demanding to eat wolf cubs. A news channel is playing on TV, with the news lady about to read the breaking news. She reports a tragic accident in the southern side where a private car plunged 100 meters down a mountain and exploded. She continues, stating that two adults in the car were found dead, while a child was found hanging from a tree branch and taken to the hospital. While cutting vegetables, Li Tianran hears the news, feels sorry for the now orphaned child, and then checks the clock. He notices it's already 6 o'clock, and since his parents promised to return by 3, he wonders why they're taking so long. So he puts the knife down, picks up his phone, and dials his father's number. The phone tells him the number he dialed is switched off. After finishing cooking, he dials the number again, and it says the same thing. As the food gets cold, he tries once more, but the number is still switched off. Unknown to Li Tianran, the phone he's trying to reach has been destroyed in the fire caused by the car explosion, as firefighters try to put it out. With the fire too large, they call in large trucks to help extinguish it. Li Han, who appears to have fainted, is carried away on a stretcher by firefighters. As the fire truck arrives, Lee Han is taken to the hospital, fully bandaged and cleaned up. She lies on the hospital bed, and the nurses mention that she hasn't spoken a word and has remained silent. Checking her records, the nurses discover that Lee Han was adopted by the deceased only 2 days ago. Lee Han listens to the nurses talking outside, with one of them saying that Lee Han's remaining family was notified and would be arriving soon. The nurses turn to see the officer arrive to claim the bodies, followed by Lee Tian-ran, as the officer asks them to lead the way. With a grim expression, Lee Tian-ran follows the nurses. A blank expression is on his face, and a look of horror fills his eyes, as if he's dreading what he'll see. When they arrive at the bodies, they find both are burnt beyond recognition, like charcoal. Turning to Lee Tian-ran, the officer expresses her condolences. Horror still etched on his face, Lee Tian-ran struggles to speak. He finally says these aren't his parents because he had no sister, so there shouldn't have been a little girl. The officer apologizes and suggests they do a DNA test to confirm if the deceased are his parents. While waiting for the DNA test results, Lee Tian-ran sits outside, head bowed. His mind is racing with emotions when suddenly a small hand tugs at his clothes. Looking sideways, he sees it's a little girl. Lee Han, heavily bandaged, calls Lee Tian-ran big brother and apologizes. She begins to cry, saying that if she hadn't asked her aunt and uncle for help when the dean beat her, they wouldn't have taken her away. But before she can continue, Lee Tian-ran pulls her into a hug. Holding her tightly, he tells her it wasn't her fault. At that moment, the officer arrives, announcing that the DNA test results are ready. She confirms that the deceased are Lee Tian-ran's parents, as the DNA results match 99%, and as Lee Tian-ran begins to sob, she offers her condolences. Still holding Lee Han, Lee Tian-ran continues to sob. At present, holding a stack of papers, a scientist announces the comparison results are out and drops the papers on a table. The scientist informs Bai Jiangyan that they've found the intruder. Bai Jiangyan looks at the intruder's identity and sees it's Lee Tian-ran, a 26-year-old male, reviewing every detail about him. Unsatisfied with the information, Bai Jiangyan asks if that's all, and the scientist confirms that Lee Tian-ran isn't anything special. The scientist questions how they can be sure Lee Tian-ran attacked Bai Jiangyan even if he stole the flash drive. Bai Jiangyan responds that the attacker fought exactly like Lee Tian-ran did when he stole the drive. Bai Jiangyan then theorizes that either Lee Tian-ran has been hiding his true identity and pretending to be an ordinary man, or there's another explanation. The other explanation, Bai Jiangyan believes, is that Lee Tian-ran's physical fitness must have improved dramatically recently, and the only way this could happen is through a perfect mutation. Bai Jiangyan suspects an entire organization might be behind the mutation and claims the dog he tried to capture must have mutated from this group, which is why Lee Tian-ran tried to rescue. Hearing this, the scientist wonders if Lee Tian-ran and the dog's mutations could be from something other than science, and Bai Jiangyan asks if she's implying the mutation wasn't caused by the V-shaped virus. The scientist points out that the chance of the V-virus causing a perfect mutation is 1 in 100 million, so it's unlikely that both Lee Tian-ran and the dog mutated from the V-virus. Bai Jiangyan considers the scientist's words. Smiling, he concludes that there must be another way in this world that allows for a perfect mutation. Putting down Lee Tian-ran's documents and sitting back in his chair, Bai Jiangyan tells the officer to keep a close eye on both Lee Tian-ran and the military's actions, and the officer agrees. Holding a basket of fresh vegetables in one hand and some kind of chemical in the other, Lee Tian-ran starts sprinkling the chemical over the crops. The system informs him that the level 4 divine crop's ripening time has been reduced by 50 hours due to the chemical, leaving only 128 hours for the crops to mature. At that moment, Uncle Nan calls out to Lee Tian-ran, informing him that something seems wrong with Xiao He. Walking toward Uncle Nan, Lee Tian-ran asks what's wrong, and Uncle Nan says Xiao He has recently been staying on the roof and won't come down. Lee Tian-ran looks up and sees that Xiao He is indeed standing on the roof, staring at something. Xiao He's blazing eyes and deep growl remind Lee Tian-ran of the first destruction season, making him wonder if Xiao He senses an unseen danger. The hummingbird guard is patrolling the area, flying over the farm. Suddenly, Lee Tian-ran's phone starts vibrating, and surprised to receive a message, he thinks it might be spam or a scam, but when he reads the message, something startles him. Shocked, he drops the vegetable basket, and seeing this, Lee Han asks what's wrong. A look of worry crosses his face, and he wonders if it's a prank, unable to believe someone would make such a joke. Without saying a word, he gets into his jeep and drives off the farm. Watching him leave, Bai Jiangyan exclaims that the target has left. A man sitting at a computer comments that it might be overkill to use a top-notch spy plane to monitor a simple farm, but Bai Jiangyan disagrees. He then points to the screen showing agriculture droids managing the crops. He notes that those are unmanned reconnaissance drones and expresses surprise that such technology is present on a simple farm, also pointing out that the crops are surviving in toxic soil. He mentions that in today's world, all soil contains the V-shaped virus, but this farm seems unaffected and he warns that they must act carefully as the farm may have hidden defenses. Smirking, he claims to have memorized the farm's entire layout and suggests neutralizing any weapons using a microwave shock, ordering his team to get moving. Following by Jianyan's command, 3 helicopters are deployed toward the farm. Once directly over the farm, they activate the shock waves and begin scanning the area. The microwaves hit every part of the farm, rendering electronics like the TV, fans, and electric fence useless. After 3 full shocks, Bai Jianyan and his team are confident that no electronic devices inside the farm should be functioning, so they all jump out of the helicopters with parachutes on their backs. Meanwhile, Li Tianran has arrived at a graveyard and is standing over an empty grave. The grave belongs to his parents, and seeing it empty, Li Tianran curses in anger. Realizing it wasn't a prank, he wonders who could have done this. At that moment, his phone rings, and he receives messages from a stranger who claims to have his parents' ashes and demands Li Tianran's holy beast and 2 limbs in exchange for them. Reading the message, Li Tianran wonders if the person is mentally unstable and then guesses that Xiao He might be the holy beast the stranger is referring to. He recalls that Xiao He was out recent, likely spotted by others. He texts the stranger back, promising to send him to his parents and make him apologize to them. He notes that the stranger already knows about Xiao He, and, if they're aware of his abilities, they'll likely try to capture him, making him wonder who the person could be. Suddenly, the system issues a warning, notifying Li Tianran that his farm is being invaded and assigning a threat level of 99. Back at the farm, Bai Jianyan and his soldiers are following the thermal image readings detected inside the house. They take different positions, completely surrounding the house, but the commander suddenly tells them to halt, claiming that the thermal imaging has vanished. Finding it strange, he wonders where the beast went, unaware that Xiao He is standing on the rooftop right behind it. With Li Han on his shoulders, Xiao He looks down at the intruders and growls soft. Sitting on Xiao He's shoulder and looking down at the intruders, Li Han says they are bad people. She instructs Xiao He to turn the intruders into compost, and Xiao He growls in acceptance. The soldiers start firing smoke grenades into the house through the windows, shattering the glass. The grenades explode as more grenades are thrown inside the house. The commander commands the others to enter and search. With almost every inch of the house covered in smoke, the soldiers begin their search. After a while, the commander asks if there's really no one inside. Finding no one, Bai Jianyan and the soldiers gather in the largest bedroom. Bai Jianyan senses something and suddenly shouts in panic, telling everyone to get out. Laser-like attacks begin raining down on the soldiers from everywhere as Bai Jianyan quickly ducks. Realizing they've been ambushed, Bai Jianyan dodges the incoming attacks. However, the other soldiers start getting killed one by one. Sprinting towards a nearby window, Bai Jianyan takes a huge leap out, shattering the glass. Landing outside on his feet, he appears bewildered, wondering why the shock weapons didn't work. Only 2 others and Bai Jianyan manage to escape, finding the rest of the soldiers dead. Li Tianran arrives and grins widely while Bai Jianyan, with a look of horror, is baffled by the situation. Right in front of him stands Li Tianran, with large and dangerous battle robots behind him. Recognizing Bai Jianyan, Li Tianran asks if he's there for revenge and notes Bai must have spent a lot of time investigating. Bai Jianyan claims he didn't do much investigating and says Li Tianran exceeded his expectations. Bai Jianyan then says there's nothing more to discuss and mentions that dying on the farm or in bed makes no difference now. Meanwhile, Uncle Nan, standing behind Li Tianran, angrily tells him to kill the intruders. He adds that the people in the Tianran company are no good. Li Tianran gestures for Uncle Nan to stop talking and, grinning, says before killing Bai Jianyan, he wants him to confess and asks where his parents' ashes are. Puzzled by the question, Bai Jianyan asks what ashes Li Tianran means. Both Li Tianran and Bai Jianyan are now confused. Li Tianran asks if Bai Jianyan really didn't steal his parents' ashes, and Bai Jianyan, sounding baffled, asks if Li Tianran is joking. Realizing something is amiss, Li Tianran remains silent, trying to think. Meanwhile, the person who sent Li Tianran the text throws the phone, causing it to shatter, and bellows that Li Tianran is an unfilial son. With an angry expression, Xiaoxing says Li Tianran is unfilial for ignoring his parents' ashes and claims he would gladly give his whole body for his mother. His anger overtakes him as he continues to bash the phone in rage, while the others around him look uncomfortable. Xiaoxing's eyes bulge as he says Li Tianran didn't even offer the sacred beast and now all the snacks his mother wanted are gone. The 2 men there try to calm Xiaoxing down while he shouts that he is useless and that his mother is tired of eating dirty things. Annoyed by the 2 men, Xiaoxing turns his head toward them with rage. He continues shouting that his mother wants to eat wolf cubs and he hasn't gotten them, but before he can say more, a soft voice calls his name. This makes Xiaoxing silent, and his expression softens as he calls out to his mommy. The 2 men begin to sweat, feeling nervous and baffled, while Xiaoxing continues to mutter mummy. Xiaoxing's face breaks into a smile as he tells his mommy he misses her so much. A woman, entirely white with no face, eyes, or skin, like a spirit, speaks to Xiaoshen, calling him her good boy, and he expresses happiness that she came to see him again. Hugging the woman, Xiaoshen begins crying and apologizes for not getting wolf cubs for her to eat and begs her not to abandon or hate him. With tears in his eyes, he promises to get Li Tianran as a meal for his mommy and requests her not to be mad at him. A dark creature, resembling a centipede with a sinister aura, appears before Xiaoshen, who, embracing it tightly as if it were his mother, hears it mutter good and eat in a chilling tone. Looking puzzled, Li Tianran asks Bai Jiangyan if he really didn't steal his parents' ashes, and with a baffled look, Bai Jiangyan asks if Li Tianran is joking. Li Tianran realizes Bai Jiangyan actually didn't steal the ashes and is even more surprised that Bai, who was bitten by Xiao He, is still alive and well. And he scans Bai Jiangyan, reading his stats and attributes, and learns that Bai used the power of evil evolution to save himself from dying. Li Tianran notes that the radiation plants are causing evolution failure, but due to Xiao Hei's perfect genes and mutual fusion, Bai Jiangyan's life is temporarily saved. He assumes Bai Jiangyan is here for Xiao Hei's perfect mutant genes and tells him that even if he didn't steal the ashes, Bai Jiangyan can't be allowed to escape. He commands the battle robots to blow up Bai Jiangyan, but Bai Jiangyan shouts for Li Tianran to hold on. As the robots halt, Bai Jiangyan asks Li Tianran if the ashes are important to him and offers to help retrieve them. Bai Jiangyan suggests they don't need to be enemies and proposes turning the conflict into a deal. Li Tianran considers this offer for a moment. He raises his hand and tells the robots to stop, shutting them down. Bai Jiangyan proposes exchanging resources with Li Tianran. Li Tianran questions whether Bai Jiangyan can really help find the ashes, and Bai Jiangyan claims he has a huge network of connections to speed up the search. Li Tianran notes that merely helping to find the ashes won't be enough for Bai Jiangyan to get the evolutionary genes and asks about his relation to Tianran. Bai Jiangyan admits he's not a member of Tianran and has no ties to any party's interests. He adds that he has no enmity with Li Tianran and that as long as he gets what he needs, it's enough. Bai Jiangyan suggests that Li Tianran could be his tool and steps forward. Grinning, Li Tianran finds the situation interesting while Uncle Nan, looking impatient, tries to get Li Tianran's attention. Bai Jiangyan tells Li Tianran he can have the handy tools while he secures the evolutionary genes and saves his life. Extending his hand for a handshake, Bai Jiangyan says it's a win-win situation. Still smiling, Li Tianran walks past Bai Jiangyan, ignoring his handshake. Passing Bai Jiangyan, Li Tianran tells him to disarm his men and make them squat in the corner with their hands on their heads, then follow him. Inside the house, Li Tianran reveals Xiao He to Bai Jiangyan. Li Han uses the eye of good and evil to assess Bai Jiangyan's color, while Bai Jiangyan looks taken aback by Xiao Hei's appearance. Li Han signals to Li Tianran that Bai Jiangyan is safe based on the color, and Li Tianran reassures Bai Jiangyan not to be nervous. Bai Jiangyan, baffled, asks how this strange mutation is possible and guesses that Xiao He must have merged with human genes. Bai Jiangyan smiles, saying this is the most perfect mutation he's ever seen and notes that Xiao He also has self-awareness and can follow human commands. Li Tianran claps his hands to stop Bai Jiangyan from talking too much and says the deal isn't finalized yet, and he shows Bai Jiangyan a number and asks him to track it, check all call records made to it, and investigate its locations over the last 10 days. Examining the number, Bai Jiangyan calls it easy but requests a blood sample, noting he only has 5 days to live, while Li Tianran reminds him he's not in a position to negotiate yet. Li Tianran then suggests Bai Jiangyan better work hard to find that person quickly. Realizing Li Tianran won't relent, Bai Jiangyan sighs and agrees. At that moment, another chopper arrives at the farm. The chopper lands, and a man exits, enters the house, and calls out to Bai Jiangyan. He is Lan Ning, a top hacker with a nerdy appearance, who asks Bai Jiangyan why he didn't contact him directly instead of calling him here. Bai Jiangyan hands Lan Ning the phone and asks him to check the signal location of the number. He also instructs Lan Ning to fix the circuit chips in the house as an apology for using the shock weapon. Fuming, Lan Ning turns around, calls Bai Jiangyan a big bastard, and says Bai Jiangyan isn't his boss. Lan Ning puts down his laptop and starts typing the keywords, working while muttering to himself. While they wait, Li Tianran turns to Bai Jiangyan and asks how he became a monster, mentioning what Bai Jiangyan wrote about the era of gods. With a short laugh, Bai Jiangyan realizes Li Tianran did read the contents of his USB flash drive and explains that 10 days after the world changed, his team extracted the V virus from radioactive plants. He points out that his experiments revealed the V-shaped virus causes cells to divide and increases the likelihood of evil changes, and he hopes to gain insights from Xiao Hei's genes. Li Tianran asks if Bai Jianyan's conclusions are based on extensive human experiments with the virus. Smirking, Bai Jianyan insists his actions weren't cruel, rationalizing that human biology often advances through cold experiments, and despite being a failure, he believes his data remains valuable. Grinning, Li Tianran admits this is really crazy as Bai Jianyan begins to laugh. Still sniggering, Bai Jianyan says that all biological and scientific developments were achieved by stepping on the bones of countless people and notes that in this apocalyptic future, this is unlikely to change. With his eyes fully focused, Lan Ning crunches the numbers on his laptop and, after a while, claims to have found the information before sending it to Li Tianran. Opening his mobile, Li Tianran sees that he did receive a notification in his mail. Looking puzzled, he points out that he didn't give his email address to Lan Ning, so how did he know it? Turning to face Li Tianran, Lan Ning gives an irritated look and says that in the 21st century, with a single photo of a person, all his info can be found in 10 minutes. Lan Ning then remarks that he overheard what Bai Jianyan said about his skills and warns that he will hack into his phone camera and broadcast him taking a bath. Hearing this, both Bai Jianyan and Li Tianran give annoyed looks, and Bai Jianyan admits that Lan Ning talks too much. And then he warns Lan Ning to stop blabbering, or his payment will be reduced, causing Lan Ning to agree to shut up and continue working. Outside what looks like an abandoned church, two men in white cloaks are standing guard as one of them lets out a loud yawn. Seeing a small fly buzzing towards him, the first man stops yawning and looks alarmed. Cursing, he wonders why there are so many big moths in such cold weather. The other man, holding a gun, warns him to be careful because these bugs might be mutated. Suddenly, the hummingbird droid shoots a needle-like projectile right at the first man's forehead, causing the other man to shout in confusion. A similar shot hits the second man, making him groan soft. As the two guards fall to the ground, Li Tianran arrives at the top of the church. Looking down at them, he tells the two guards to get some sleep. Meanwhile, inside the church, someone is holding a box with two egg-like objects, praying for love, power, and reincarnation into an immortal body. Praying, Xiaoxing raises the box above his head and declares that the reincarnation ceremony begins now, in front of dozens of followers seated before him. He then approaches two followers who are kneeling with their hands raised. The two men take the egg-like objects from the box and begin eating them. For the next step, Xiaoxing instructs them to water the fruit with nectar from the sacrifice. The sacrifice Xiaoxing refers to appears to be a woman tied down on a stone slab, as he notes that the fruit of hope should grow quickly to complete the reincarnation. The two men walk toward the woman tied on the slab and begin eating her guts with their bare hands. Witnessing this from above, Li Tianran's eyes widen in shock as he feels disgusted. He shoots one of the men eating the woman, landing a headshot. The other man looks alarmed as his companion suddenly drops dead. Falling to the ground, he starts screaming, while the other people scramble to their feet and flee in panic. Turning to look up, Xiaoxing shouts, asking who dares to disrupt the reincarnation ceremony. Then, he notices Li Tianran standing on the rooftop, looking down through a large hole in the ceiling. Teeth clenched, Li Tianran points his gun at the cult members below. Xiaoxing demands to know who Li Tianran is, and Li Tianran shouts back, claiming he is their lord, ordering the hummingbird guards to kill all the scum below. As the hummingbirds fly down, the people stand in front of Xiaoxing to protect him. A terrifying scene unfolds, with the hummingbird guards raining down like bullets and massacring the cult members as they flee, screaming like cockroaches. The man standing right in front of Xiaoxing, shielding him, also gets taken out. The cult members now try to run out of the hall, seeing all the guardians killed. Suddenly, something comes hurling down and lands right in front of Xiaoxing, causing him to fall back, trembling in fear. Just having landed, Li Tianran says he thought it was just some scum stealing ashes but never expected to see such a disgusting scene with humans worse than animals. Face full of fear, Xiaoxing stammers, asking if the man before him is Li Tianran. Li Tianran points his gun straight at Xiaoxing, causing him to whimper, and tells him to bring his parents' ashes if he wants an easy death. Xiaoxing glances sideways at one of the dead men nearby. From the mouth of that dead man, a creature starts emerging. Xiaoxing tells Li Tianran that if he kills him, he will never find the ashes and dares him to try. Li Tianran warns Xiaoxing not to provoke him, but Xiaoxing keeps laughing as the dead man behind Li Tianran starts rising, with something emerging from his mouth. Startled, Li Tianran senses the eerie thing happening behind it. Xiaoxing laughs and taunts Li Tianran as he turns in alarm, seeing a centipede-like creature halfway out of the dead man's mouth. The disgusting-looking creature fully emerges and, growling, fixes its gaze on Li Tianran. Seeing this, Li Tianran is momentarily taken aback as another similar creature forces its way out of the other man. Now, both hideous mutants face Li Tianran, ready to pounce. These creatures are so vile, with cringeworthy bodies, that Li Tianran screws up his face in disgust as he pulls out another gun. Pointing his gun at the creatures, he remarks that they are really ugly and disgusting. Snarling with their needle-like sharp teeth, both mutants lunge at Li Tianran. Reacting swiftly, Li Tianran raises both guns and starts firing. However, the bullets simply bounce off the creature's hard, powerful scales. Seeing this, Li Tianran curses and dodges aside as the mutant charges at him. Realizing his gun is completely useless, he quickly summons the system and opens the store, trying to find a more powerful and lethal weapon. He thinks a bazooka should work and begins searching for it. However, he doesn't have enough points to buy any heavy guns, having used most of his points to purchase seeds yesterday. As the mutants prepare to charge, Li Tianran desperately orders the Hummingbird Warriors to attack. The Hummingbird Warriors fly towards the mutants and begin striking. However, even they manage to inflict no damage on the mutants. Now looking worried, Li Tianran admits he never expected this cult to have such powerful monsters and regrets not bringing larger combat robots. Hiding behind a wall, he hears Xiaoxing mockingly ask where he's hiding, challenging him to come out. Li Tianran is in a difficult situation, with no albino corn left, and his ordinary weapons can't kill the mutants, so he decides to aim for their eyes and stall for time. Suddenly, chills run down his spine as he sees one of the mutant's eyes peeking around the corner. The mutant attacks the wall, smashing it into rubble as Li Tianran barely manages to leap forward and dodge. He acknowledges that these mutants are too fast, just as one of them charges at him again. This time, unable to dodge, Li Tianran is sent flying backward, slamming into the wall several feet away. The impact shakes the entire church, sending clouds of smoke and dust billowing out from one side. A phone starts ringing, and Officer Yuanwen picks it up, answering the call. An old woman, relieved that the officer answered, informs her that there was an explosion near her house, along with strange noises, and she begs him to come investigate. She stands on a small hill with her terrified granddaughter clinging to her, overlooking the church where Li Tianran is battling the mutants. Hearing the woman's concern, Yuanwen agrees to come and asks her for the exact location. She then instructs the cleanup crew to follow her to the city outskirts to confront the mutants. They ready their guns and prepare to move out, with Yuanwen warning her team not to underestimate a level 3 mutant beast if encountered. Meanwhile, back in the church, Li Tianran lets out a groan and coughs after slamming into the wall. Bleeding from his mouth, he takes out an ancient medicine-grade tomato, remarking that his ribs are broken, but also noting that he managed to shoot out the mutant's eyes. Xiaoxing shouts, mocking Li Tianran for continuing the fight despite being on the verge of death, and tells him to just give up and become food for the mutants. The mutants, with their jaws wide open, lunge straight for Li Tianran. The mutant crashes into Li Tianran, sending him flying through the wall into the next room, creating a massive hole while getting half stuck in the wall. Li Tianran is thrown backward into the next room. Looking hopeful, Xiaoxing asks if Li Tianran is dead. Seeing both mutants stuck in the wall, he mockingly calls them pigs. On the other side of the room, Li Tianran lies on the ground as the two mutants, still stuck, try snapping their jaws at it. Realizing which room it is, Xiaoxing shouts that the mutants cannot enter that area. Li Tianran admits it was a close call and that he was saved by mere inches. At that moment, a cry for help fills Li Tianran's ears, and in alarm, he turns around to see a dozen or more girls chained together and held captive. All the girls appear frightened, shaking, and sobbing, holding on to each other in fear. Seeing them, Li Tianran realizes they are the good Xiaoxing referred to earlier. Remembering the girl he saw sacrificed and the dozen more captives here, he wonders how many have already been killed. The mutants continue growling and snarling, trying to free themselves. As the wall begins to crumble, Li Tianran clenches his teeth, realizing this isn't good. The girls begin screaming and crying for help as their eyes fall on the two mutants. The mutants are close to breaking free, and Li Tianran knows he can't let that happen. Looking around, he sees boxes lying around the room and wonders if it's a warehouse. Inside the boxes, he spots food, gold bars, and precious jewels, things he never expected to find here. Looking at a statue on the other side of the room, he notices a large sword held by the statue. Li Tianran pushes himself off the ground and leaps toward the statue. Climbing atop the statue, he realizes the sword is a Tang Dao, skillfully forged, making it sharp, strong, and unbreakable. He picks up the sword, grinning, admitting that it's an absolute killer. Hearing the girls scream again, he turns in alarm and sees the mutants are about to enter the room. Worried, he notes that the situation is dire as the mutants push themselves through the hole. Deciding to test the sword, he jumps off the statue and charges toward the mutants. When near them, he swings the sword with great force. Luckily, the sword cuts a large gash on the mutant's body, but the wound isn't fatal, and now the mutant is enraged after being hurt. The mutants finally break into the room, and Li Tianran Ran turns to run, trying to lure them away. His plan works as the mutants target and chase after him. Once he's far from the girls, he suddenly stops and spins around. Facing the incoming mutants, Lee Ran prepares to confront them head-on. The mutants charge at him as Lee Ran raises his sword. Clutching the sword tight, he swings it as the mutants lunge at him. He makes quick, fast cuts on the mutants' hard scales while dodging their attacks. However, he's caught off guard, and one mutant slams its tail into him. The force sends Lee Ran flying into a nearby wall. Coughing from the impact, Lee Ran admits he can't fight them this way and decides to find their weak points. He watches as one mutant lunges at him again. Seeing the mutant about to strike, Lee Ran quickly searches for its weak point. Clutching the sword with both hands, he swings it with full force at the mutant. The sword strikes the mutant's head and miraculously pierces it. Clenching his teeth, Lee Ran pushes the sword with all his strength, slicing off half of the mutant's head. The mutant's split head falls, and it dies. As the mutant's blood splashes onto him, Lee Ran stands silently, panting heavily. Looking ahead, he sees the remaining mutant preparing to attack. Meanwhile, Xiao Shen begins cursing under his breath, angry that Lee Ran is trying to steal his collection. But he is confident the mutants will devour Lee Ran and leave nothing behind. Suddenly, he freezes as he hears Lee Ran's voice behind him, sword pointed at his head, telling him it's over. Bewildered, Xiao Shen turns and asks how the mutants were killed, warning that the superiors won't spare Lee Ran now. With an angry expression, Lee Ran replies that if he can kill the mutants, he's not afraid of Xiao Shen's superiors. Saying this, he raises his sword, curses Xiao Shen, and is about to swing when someone's voice suddenly shouts for him to stop. Before Lee Ran can swing his sword to finish off Xiao Shen, a bullet hits the blade, pushing it back. Puzzled, Lee Ran turns and sees Yuanwen with her gun pointed at him, asking him to put the sword down. Seeing the police, Xiao Shen starts begging them to save him, claiming Lee Ran is trying to kill him. Through gritted teeth, Lee Ran tells Yuanwen she should point the gun at Xiao Shen instead. Confused, Yuanwen asks what he means, and Lee Ran tells her to look around. Yuanwen turns and sees the girls, terrified and cowering in fear. More girls appear, still shaking and hiding behind walls, leaving Yuanwen bewildered. An officer beside Yuanwen informs her that some of these girls were reported missing. Yuanwen notices the jewels and gold among the captives and asks what's going on. Another officer informs Yuanwen of an issue, causing her to turn and ask what happened. The officer whispers to Yuanwen about the sacrificed girls and 2 dead mutants found in the next hall. Realizing something is wrong, Yuanwen tells Xiao Shen not to resist and requests backup from the bureau in the hospital. Xiao Shen is handcuffed and taken away by 2 officers, but he lets out a silent laugh. As Xiao Shen is led away, he sticks his tongue out and taunts Lee Ran, whispering there's nothing Lee Ran can do to him. Enraged, Lee Ran tightens his grip on his sword, but Yuanwen places her hand on the sword to calm him down and asks if he remembers her. Confused, Lee Ran asks who she is, and Yuanwen reminds him that she was the officer who helped him identify his parents' bodies. Lee Ran says he remembers the officer but questions her for stopping him, and Yuanwen advises him not to act rashly. Introducing herself, she reveals that the DNA Lee Ran provided years ago led by to him and asks him to calm down and listen. She explains they can't just kill Xiao Shen and acknowledges Lee Ran's strength, admitting he could kill Xiao Shen if he wanted. She assures him the military will expose everyone involved in the cult and begs him to cooperate and provide any information he knows. Lee Ran sheathes his sword and agrees to cooperate, earning Yuanwen's thanks. Minutes later, multiple ambulances and more police arrive at the warehouse to rescue the girls. The area becomes noisy as police and other people gather at the scene. The families of the rescued girls cry tears of joy as they find their daughters alive. As Yuanwen escorts Lee Ran away, someone calls out to her. An officer asks what they should report regarding the dead cult members Lee Ran killed. Yuanwen instructs the officer to report that the cult members fought back and were killed during the encounter. Though Yuanwen spoke quietly, Lee Ran hears everything. After the officer leaves, Yuanwen points to the car, telling Lee Ran it's time to go. At that moment, a dead girl's body passes behind Lee Ran, and he sees her lifeless hands sticking out from under the cloth. Touched by the sight, he turns away, feeling bad. Then someone thanks him, making him turn around to see a girl who calls him her savior. The girl, reunited with her mother, smiles widely and says it's because of Lee Ran that she and the other girls were rescued and not sold as toys, offering heartfelt thanks. Hearing the girl mention toys, Yuanwen asks if she knows something. The girl explains she used to be a member of the Self-Help Society but discovered it was evil and tried to escape, claiming she saw the location of their transaction ledger, and Yuanwen asks her for all the details. As the girl, Lee Ran, and Yuanwen continue talking, someone is watching them from a car's mirror. A man with a cigarette in his mouth is spying on them, saying the Holy Lord controls all and orders the driver to drive away. Obeying his command, the police car accelerates away from the scene. scene. Sitting in the interrogation room, Li Tianran yawns and asks Yuanwen if he can leave since things are settled. He leans back with his hands behind his head, saying he has things to do. Meanwhile, Yuanwen and a man stand outside the room, watching Li Tianran, and Yuanwen mentions she doesn't agree with how they're handling the matter. The man next to her says they can't ignore the fact that Li Tianran committed a crime. He points out that Li Tianran has no special authority to take the law into his own hands and kill people. Yuanwen acknowledges that Li Tianran had no right, but adds that it was only because of him that they found the girls, and asks if the higher-ups have ordered Li Tianran's detention. The man replies that Bureau Yang is waiting for a response from the city council. He adds that it's unlikely the higher-ups will tolerate the presence of a dangerous person like Li Tianran, but Yuanwen counters that the world has drastically changed. Yuanwen accuses Chief Chen of panicking over his dereliction of duty. Yuanwen doubts that sending Li Tianran's case to the leader's desk for peaceful treatment will bring justice to the trafficked and murdered girls. Chief Chen, enraged, points a finger at Yuanwen, warning her to watch her mouth, reminding her that he's the sheriff, and orders her to detain Li Tianran. At that moment, someone enters the room and interrupts, asking Chief Chen what he's doing. Turning around, Chief Chen sees his superior and nervously asks why he's here. Chief Inspector Zhengong, accompanied by Senior Officer Yuan Yi, sarcastically praises Chief Chen for being better at making enemies than catching criminals. Flustered, Chief Chen explains he received orders from the higher-ups, and Zhengong asks if they're from Yang Yong or Wang Dongchuan. Ignoring him, Zhengong instructs Chief Chen to stand aside and recite police rules 20 times. As Chief Chen mutters a curse, Zhengong asks Yuanwen to take him to see Li Tianran. Yuanwen tells him that Li Tianran is in Cubicle 03, and they head there together. Li Tianran, bored, whistles casually before noticing the three walk in and confirms his identity when asked. Zhengong pulls out a chair and introduces himself as the Chief Inspector of the Handong Provincial Department, surprising Li Tianran with the high-ranking title. Li Tianran nervously notes that having such a high-ranking official involved means he likely won't get out easily, but Zhengong assures him not to worry and says he just wants to show him a file. And he pulls out a top-secret file and says the information inside pertains to mutated beasts, which has been brought to Li Tianran. Taking the file and confused, Li Tianran asks what Zhengong means by brought to him. Zhengong explains that the file is meant for people like Li Tianran. Opening the file, Li Tianran pulls out reports and sees pictures of mutated beasts, all grotesque and terrifying. His face turns to shock as he notices human faces etched into the bodies of the monsters. Zhengong explains that they found one of these mutated monsters in the Karangma Mountains 5 days ago, where it was feeding on humans. He adds that by consuming humans, the mutant absorbed their faces and became more intelligent with every second, asking Li Tianran if he understands what this means. Li Tianran deduces that the mutants are becoming more human-like and asks if their genetic locks have been broken. Zhengong confirms this, explaining that mutants are no longer limited to fusing animal genes to evolve but have begun integrating human genes to gain intelligence, creating a new species called Beast Kings. He reveals that at least 5 such perfect mutant beasts have been found in Yanhuang, with more to come. Li Tianran asks why he's being told this information. Zhengong raises his hand, instructing Yuan Yi, who brings a jar and places it on the table. Inside the jar are 2 eggs. Recognizing the eggs, Li Tianran asks if they are what he thinks, and Zhengong confirms they are unhatched eggs that stopped developing inside the 2 cult members after they were shot. After studying these eggs, Zhengong reveals that they contain mostly animal and insect genes, but also a portion of human genes. Puzzled, Li Tianran asks what this means, and Zhengong explains that there's a high chance a Beast King is hiding somewhere, creating its own kind. Taken aback, Li Tianran asks how the Beast King can hide undetected in the city. Zhengong mentions the ledger, prompting Li Tianran to ask if he has found it. Zhengong explains that while the Beast King has intelligence, it's not advanced enough to form an organization, implying it may be getting help from humans, though they're unaware why. Unsure, Li Tianran asks why he's being entrusted with this information. Tapping the table, Zhengong says that by knowing the situation, Li Tianran can make better judgments. Confused, Li Tianran asks what Zhengong means by that. Zhengong reveals that Li Tianran's actions have led to the military and police labeling him a criminal. Shocked, Yuanwen tries to speak, but Li Tianran raises his hand to silence her. Slamming his fist on the table, Li Tianran asks what harm he caused by killing cult members and questions the laws. Zhengong, seeing Li Tianran's anger, offers to wipe his record clean if he helps the military police, who are struggling against evolving mutant beasts. Still confused, Li Tianran asks Zhengong to get to the point, and Zhengong asks him to join them. Zhengong promises that even if the military takes over the city, Li Tianran will still hold power. Surprised, Li Tianran asks if Zhengong really wants him to join the military police, which Zhengong confirms, adding that it would give him official status and protect his family. Silent for a moment, Li Tianran says he needs time to think it over. Handing Li Tianran the sword he used to kill the mutants, Yuanlun tells him to have his answer ready in 2 days, or she will bring the enforcement team for him. Teasing her, Li Tianran asks how someone as beautiful as her could say such harsh words, but Yuanlun simply shoves the sword into his arms, telling him to stop flattering her and join the military. Taking the sword in form, Li Tianran agrees to give his answer in 2 days. At that moment, a group of handcuffed people is led into the station, catching Li Tianran's attention. He asks if these criminals are the ones recorded in the ledger, and Yuanlun confirms it. Looking closely, Li Tianran recognizes 2 of them. Shocked, he realizes they are members of the Southern City Council. As the 2 men glance at him, Li Tianran realizes the inspector was right, and even members of parliament are involved. He wonders if they're merely buying and selling or have already sided against humanity. Meanwhile, back at the farm, the level 4 divine cherry tomatoes have 62 hours left to mature, and their growth status is good. Li Tianran sprinkles the growth potion on the crops, reducing their maturity time to 32 hours, and asks Li Han if she'll support him if he becomes a military policeman. Though her eyes show hesitation, Li Han says she will support him. Li Tianran notes that he won't be around often if he becomes a policeman, and Li Han, with a gloomy face, says she understands. Loudly, she tells him not to give up on his desires because of her. She recalls how 3 years ago, Li Tianran gave up his job to run the farm with her, saying she's been dragging him down. Li Tianran pats her head, telling her she's not holding him back. Li Han says she doesn't want to always be protected by Li Tianran and wants to grow up and take care of herself. Enthusiastically, she promises to support him no matter what, pointing out that she still has Xiao He and Grandpa Nan to care for her. Pleased, Li Tianran praises Li Han's growth and leaves her in charge of applying the growth potion, making her regret talking too much. Meanwhile, in a dark place, someone is sneaking quietly, avoiding making noise. The location appears to be a prison, set in underground tunnels. In one of the cells, a bald man is silently laughing like a madman, his hands cuffed and his hood dropped back. The man is Xiao Shen, captured thanks to Li Tianran. The person who entered slides 3 eggs through the metal bars toward Xiao Shen. Xiao Shen picks up 1 egg, sniggering as he brings it close to his mouth. Slowly, he puts the egg into his mouth. With a needle inserted into Xiao He's arm, Li Tianran extracts a small flask of blood. Handing the sample to Lan Ning, Li Tianran says it's what he promised for Bai. Looking at Xiao He, Lan Ning questions if he's truly a perfect mutant beast, noting his lack of imposing features. Li Tianran explains that perfect mutations can take different paths, not just increasing strength, physical changes, or intelligence. He adds that mutations vary widely, and Lan Ning admits he misunderstood. Li Tianran then asks about Lan Ning's boss, making Lan Ning uncomfortable as he says Bai is close to death. At that moment, Bai is in the hospital as doctors try to cut off bone spurs growing toward his heart, but they keep regenerate. Lying on the surgery bed, Bai breathes heavily as doctors declare they can't continue operating on it. Just then, Lan Ning arrives, calling out for Bai and raising a briefcase, exclaiming that he has the samples, causing Bai to sit up in alarm. Bai instructs the doctor to analyze the samples immediately, pointing out he only has 24 hours left to live. The doctors begin testing the blood and note the changes in chromosomes, observing significant differences. Bai, amazed, exclaims that Xiao He has unlocked the genetic code. The doctors comment that the extra chromosome in Xiao He's blood can cause immense changes, calling it divine. As they continue analyzing, they note the blood is from a perfect mutant, not a monster created by the V virus, and suggest they can try replicating, though success rates may be low. Without hesitation, Bai orders them to begin replication immediately. Meanwhile, back on the farm, the system notifies Li Tianran that the divine cherry tomato has entered its ripening stage with only 8 hours left until maturation. Observing the cherry tomato, Li Tianran begins to feel the effects of the divine fruit even in its ripening stage. The system explains the different evolution paths for mutant beasts, one increasing physical strength and another enhancing intelligence, allowing them to manipulate technology. The system describes 2 more paths, one where mutants gain divine-like powers to control elements, with a 0.43% probability, and another where they acquire combat traits from ancient warriors, with a 5.4% probability. Hearing this, Li Tianran is amazed, finding the intelligent and divine paths too tempting. However, he notices the atavistic path has a high probability and fears he may evolve into the weakest type. He asks the system if he can reset his evolution if he turns into an atavistic type, and the system informs him that he can continue eating the fruit until he achieves his desired evolution. Grinning, he realizes he can keep eating the divine fruit until he becomes the ancient divine type. Back at the station, Shinggong asks Yuanlun if Li Tianran has agreed, and Lan Ning reports that Li Tianran has promised to send the application form tomorrow. Smiling, Shingon says it's good and notes his trip to the southern side wasn't in vain. Yuanwen asks if he's leaving, and Shingon says he will return after finishing the cult case, as his superiors are pressuring him. Doubtful, Yuanwen notes that Congressman Li and Gua have been arrested for 10 hours without action and urges Shingon to stay in the southern side a few more days, claiming she feels uneasy about the situation. Elsewhere, thousands of small flies form a strange shape, wriggling in front of a man in a suit as if communicating something. The man, with half his face resembling an insect with pincers, seems to understand the message from the flies and says he understands. The next day, Li Tianran swings open the gate and heads out to mail the form he just filled for Yuanwen, but he's alarmed when he sees a pair of dangling feet in the air, with blood dripping near the farm gates. His eyes widen in shock as he wonders who the person is. Suddenly, he remembers the girl who thanked him for rescuing her. She has been killed and hung from a tree. In shock, he tosses the form aside and runs, shouting toward the girl's lifeless body. Turning sideways, Shingon asks if the man before him is the lawyer for Congressman Li and Gua, to which the lawyer affirms. Adjusting his glasses, the lawyer claims he's been commissioned by the Southern Council and is here to handle the case of the two congressmen. Shingon tries to respond, but his phone rings at that moment, prompting the lawyer to tell him to take the call. Holding the phone to his ear, Shingon speaks into it, but his expression suddenly changes as he hears something startling from the other end. Li Tianran sits in silence, his head bowed, looking grim while a woman nearby sobs, crying out for her dead daughter. He is at the police department, having brought in the girl he found dead near his farm. The girl's mother is there as well, crying uncontrollably. He turns his head and sees the lawyer speaking to Congressman Li and Gua as they walk past the door, while the mother continues sobbing. However, hearing the congressmen's names, the mother lifts her head and looks at them, tears still streaming down her face. Smiling, the lawyer assures the congressman that he will take care of everything and tells them not to worry. Laughing, the congressmen both cheerfully respond that they aren't feeling any pressure. At that moment, the mother rises to her feet and calls out to Congressman Li Ting. Li Ting turns to face her and asks who she is. Suddenly, the mother lunges at Li Ting, accusing him of being involved in smuggling and claiming he is responsible for her daughter's death. As she strikes Li Ting, he recoils in confusion while the mother screams for him to bring her daughter back. Fighting back, Li Ting kicks the mother, sending her flying backward with a scream. Seeing the woman fall, Yuanwen rushes over, asking if she's alright. Even Li Tianran quickly stands up, shocked by the scene unfolding before him. Holding the crying woman, Yuanwen angrily demands to know how Li Ting could use violence in a police station, especially as a criminal. The lawyer interjects, reminding Yuanwen that it was the mother who attacked his client first, and Li Ting was only defending himself. With a sly smile, the lawyer warns Yuanwen to watch her words, adding that the congressmen have already been released on bail, so they are no longer criminals. Hearing this, Yuanwen is left in shock. Still grinning, the lawyer calmly asks the mother to control herself, warning her that she could be held accountable for attacking a congressman. Bewildered, Yuanwen insists it's impossible for the congressman to be released on bail. Pushing his glasses back, the lawyer points out that they're dealing with members of parliament. He begins explaining that none of the evidence, statements, inspections, audiovisual materials, or electronic data will ever convict the congressman. Hearing the lawyer's audacity and confidence, Li Tianran is visibly surprised. Red with anger, Yuanwen insists that they've already arrested the leader, and his testimony will be counted. However, the lawyer points out that the maximum detention period is only 24 hours, so the congressman will be released. As the congressman and the lawyer walk away, the lawyer compliments Yuanwen on her dedication but advises her to better distinguish between criminals and good citizens in the future. He adds that they have a busy schedule and no time to cooperate with Yuanwen's investigation, which greatly angers her. Nearing the exit, the lawyer turns slightly and informs Yuanwen that the witnesses she mentioned have already been diagnosed with psychiatric conditions, making their testimonies invalid. Clenching her teeth in rage, Yuanwen warns the lawyer not to think this is over, vowing to keep a close watch on the congressman. The lawyer laughs and claims that the release was a direct order from the Ministry of National Security, suggesting Yuanwen verify it herself. He further reveals that the witnesses will soon be transferred to the southern side's 4th hospital, shocking Yuanwen. Still smiling, the lawyer notices Li Tianran staring at him with an intense, menacing gaze, causing him to quickly look away in fear. The three of them get into the car outside, bid Yuanwen goodbye, and drive away. The mother begins crying harder, lamenting that her daughter was right. They will never bring down these powerful people as Yuanwen tries to comfort her. The mother wails that if even the military police can't sanction the congressman, no one can. At that moment, a piece of paper floats in front of Yuanwen's eyes, startling her. She catches the paper and realizes it's a form, and looking ahead, she notices more pieces of the form, likely torn by Li Tianran before he left the station. Meanwhile, Li Tianran rushes back to his farm and finds that the level 4 divine cherry tomato tomatoes are ready for harvest. Without wasting time, he harvests around 2.5 kilograms of the crop, grabs a handful, and angrily bites into them. Driving down the highway, the lawyer in the driver's seat tells the two congressmen that the situation has been suppressed and suggests they work together to pacify it. Smoking a cigar, Li Ting replies that they know what needs to be done. He adds that low-class people can be easily dealt with using condolence money and supplies. Grinning evilly, Guo Xianjun says controlling online opinion and using reporters with a press conference will make people believe their lies. Gritting his teeth, Li Ting snarls, irritated by the idea of pretending to be good in front of the masses. Guo Xianjun advises Li Ting to be patient, noting that their focus should be on appeasing the public and securing future food supplies. Inhaling the cigar, Li Ting agrees. But in that moment, Guo Xuanjun's head is suddenly slashed clean off his body. Blood splatters throughout the car, and in shock, Li Ting turns to see Li Tianran staring at him through the window. Li Ting screams, demanding to know how Li Tianran dares to attack a congressman, and as the car swerves dangerously, he yells that Li Tianran is courting death. Noticing the strange colored blood from the dead congressman, Li Tianran calmly states that they must have eaten those eggs, but a terrified Li Ting insists he didn't. Raising his sword, Li Tianran declares that since the congressmen don't want to be human beings, they're better off dead. Swinging his blade as the lawyer screams in terror, the car crashes into a tree and comes to a stop as blue-colored blood splashes everywhere. Amidst the blood, the egg, still in its early development stage, falls to the ground. As it wriggles and moves, Li Tianran steps on it, crushing it into a pulp. He then throws a divine cherry tomato into his mouth, and after eating it, he evolves into the atavistic form. He notes that despite eating his fourth divine cherry, he only evolved into the weakest form, so he eats another cherry but experiences the same result. After eating too much, he burps and decides to stop until he can digest properly. However, upon eating the last cherry, he feels something strange. His eyes blaze and sparkle as he successfully evolves into a rare intelligent brain type and gains telepathy skills. Intrigued, he decides to test the new skill. Standing still, he raises his hand, focusing, and discovers he has a range of about 1 meter for sensing living creatures. Spotting a bird nearby, he catches it, wanting to see how direct contact with animals affects his new ability. To his amazement, he hears the bird ask for rice and realizes he can understand living creatures just by touching them. However, he admits the skill isn't enough and considers resetting to obtain a better evolution, but first decides to call the hacker, Lan Ning. The hospital corridor is perfectly clean, with its walls and floor reflecting like glass. Inside the vent, Li Tianran speaks through his earpiece, informing Lan Ning that the person locked up in the hospital room isn't the target, but Lan Ning insists the electronic eye indicated otherwise. Li Tianran explains that the prisoner was replaced and that the person in the hospital is a look-alike, to which Lan Ning replies he will track down the real prisoner. After a few moments of typing, Lan Ning announces he found the prisoner and sends Li Tianran a photo, noting that the target is always on the move, so Li Tianran will have to locate. Li Tianran realizes the target is underground, which is why his telepathy didn't detect. Meanwhile, in the sewers below, Xiaosheng, still in his signature white cloak, is making his way toward the exit. Suddenly, he senses something behind him and turns an alarm. An attack comes his way, but he manages to block it, though just barely. Grinning, he realizes it's Li Tianran, sword raised, who attacked. Observing Xiaosheng's quick reflexes, Li Tianran notes that he has grown faster and swings his sword once again, but Xiaosheng dodges. Daring Xiaosheng to dodge again, Li Tianran swings his sword and this time cuts Xiaosheng's right arm clean off. As blue blood splatters across his face, Xiaosheng struggles to keep his composure. In a swift movement, Xiaosheng leaps back like a ninja, jumping across the sewage to the other side. Once safely across, he starts smirking. Li Tianran asks if Xiaosheng plans to run away, while Xiaosheng continues grinning. Lunging at Xiaosheng, Li Tianran raises his sword to strike, unaware of the thousands of fly-like creatures swarming toward him. Surrounding his sword, Li Tianran raises his sword, ready to strike Xiaosheng, when suddenly countless fly-like bugs swarm around him. Startled by the bugs, he quickly shakes his feet to fend them off. At that moment, a large figure appears behind him, holding something glowing in its hands. It's a man-like giant bug, who apologizes to Xiaosheng for being late, explaining it took time to adapt to his new body. Li Tianran swings his sword rapidly, trying to disperse the bugs surrounding. He then leaps to the other side, landing right in front of Xiaosheng as the bugs follow him. With one hand still missing and dark circles under his eyes, Xiaosheng remarks that he doesn't have time to punish anyone right now. Noticing Xiaosheng's missing hand, the bug man looks shocked. Grinning, Xiaosheng says he's about to evolve, so the injury means nothing to him. Li Tianran charges forward, and to the Bugman's horror, swings his sword directly at Xiaosheng. However, the sword doesn't hit Xiaosheng but is blocked by the thousands of bugs forming a shield, absorbing the impact of Li Tianran's attack. Seeing the Holy Lord under attack, the Bugman becomes enraged and charges at Li Tianran. Suddenly, Xiaosheng stirs the air around them, causing a violent current. The powerful gust affects even Li Tianran, who struggles to keep his balance. Xiaosheng escapes and reappears behind the Bugman, complaining that the bugs covered him, to which the Bugman apologizes, saying he's still learning to control them. Turning to leave, Xiaosheng orders the Bugman to kill Li Tianran, and the Bugman agrees. Walking away, Xiaosheng reminds the Bugman to leave Li Tianran barely alive, not dead. He explains that living beings are more nutritious for his evolution. The Bugman acknowledges Xiaosheng's command, preparing to face Li Tianran. Li Tianran remains silent for a moment. Then, he speaks, stating that he despises people who boast, before charging at the Bugman with his sword raised. Meanwhile, Xiaosheng, having walked a short distance away, suddenly stops, shuddering as he says he can't hold back and wants to return to Mother. With a satisfied expression, he decides to pupate right then and there. Out of nowhere, thick webs of silk begin to envelop him, and within seconds, he is encased in a cocoon. The middle part of the cocoon starts glowing pink and blue. Meanwhile, back at the fight, Li Tianran and the Bugman are locked in a fierce battle. The Bugman snarls that Li Tianran is proving difficult to handle, wondering how a human could have powers similar to his and dodge every attack. He starts to realize that Li Tianran might be reading his movements, as none of his strikes land. Li Tianran is toying with him, effortlessly predicting the Bugman's every move. Dodging an attack, Li Tianran asks the Bugman if he knows him. The Bugman continues his assault, laughing as he taunts Li Tianran for not knowing his opponent and claims to have given him a gift, asking if he liked it. Hearing the Bugman mention the girl he killed, Li Tianran is shaken. He swings his sword furiously at the Bugman, who catches the blade with his bare hands. Pressing the sword harder, Li Tianran smirks and says that bugs belong in the drain.
The cocoon enveloping Xiaosheng suddenly begins to crack open, with rays of light streaming through the fissures. The Bugman, still holding the sword Li Tianran pressed against him, sneers and mocks him, dismissing him as just a mere human. With a face full of concentration and maintaining silence, Li Tianran activates his telepathy skill, causing his eyes to emit a glowing light. He releases sonar-like waves from his eyes, which hit the Bugman, causing him to whimper and groan in response. The waves disrupt the Bugman's vision, making his eyes lose focus and appear as if he is being hypnotized. With the Bugman under his mental control, Li Tianran begins sifting through his memories. Within these memories, Li Tianran sees the Bugman, before his transformation, as a mere man kneeling before Xiaosheng. Xiaosheng, gazing down at the city mayor, promises to grant him immortality and help him evolve into a superior human form. The mayor clings desperately to Xiaosheng's robes, expressing his eagerness for eternal life and pleading with Xiaosheng to fulfill his request. As dark, large tentacle-like eight things begin to ensnare the mayor, he vows to do whatever is necessary to achieve his goal. Suddenly, one of these tentacles enters the mayor's mouth. Xiaosheng explains that the Lord requires the worship of believers, preferably young and lively women, while the tentacle continues its unsettling procedure. After the tentacle withdraws from the mayor's mouth, he coughs and gasps, struggling for breath. The mayor then agrees to offer any tribute to the Lord. The memories shift, and Li Tianran learns that the mayor was responsible for the kidnapping and sacrificial rituals of innocent girls. Despite these heinous acts, the mayor never showed remorse, believing that his actions were simply necessary for his own survival in this harsh world. Now transformed into the Bugman, the mayor recoils as his mind is red and, puzzled, asks Li Tianran what he has done to him. Exhausted from delving into the Bugman's memories, Li Tianran takes a deep breath, his stamina drained. He opens his inventory, retrieves the ancient medicine carrot, and consumes it to restore his energy. Once his stamina is replenished, Li Tianran points out that the Bugman's true identity as the mayor was something he had not anticipated. Shocked, the Bugman asks how Li Tianran discovered his true identity. Li Tianran reveals he accessed the mayor's memories, leaving the mayor stunned as he questions how it's possible, wondering if Li Tianran is an evolved human and speculating that only special eggs can enable such evolution. Li Tianran dismisses the idea, stating that he does not require those disgusting, slimy eggs to evolve. He explains that the outcome of consuming those eggs is not evolution but rather parasitism, prompting the mayor to ask for clarification. Li Tianran asserts that he saw this conflict within the mayor's consciousness and explains that the bug's consciousness is competing with the mayor's for control of his body. He adds that once the bug's consciousness completely overtakes the mayor's mind, the mayor will undergo an evil transformation and his own consciousness will disintegrate. He then questions how long the mayor's consciousness and personality will endure before being entirely consumed and transformed into a mindless monster. The mayor insists he's far superior to lowly ants, boasting that he consumed a high-level egg, second only to the prince's, and claims that even if he loses consciousness, he will still become a superior being unlike ordinary humans. Li Tianren contemplates the mayor's reference to the prince. He recalls Xiaosheng's previous statements and wonders if the mayor might have ingested the prince egg. At that moment, the system alerts him to the detection of a new living body, causing him to curse in shock. Xiaosheng, now transformed into the bug man, attacks Li Tianren from behind. Blood splatters from Li Tianren's wound, leaving him bewildered as he questions how Xiaosheng could have evolved so rapidly. The mayor looks on in surprise as Li Tianren is unexpectedly attacked, causing his left arm to be completely severed from his body. Xiaosheng dashes forward, positioning himself in front of the mayor, and turns his attention to Li Tianren, who crashes heavily onto the floor. The mayor congratulates Xiaosheng on his ascension as the prince, acknowledging his elevated status. Xiaosheng, with a dismissive tone, calls the mayor worthless for his failure to eliminate a mere human. With a snap of his jaws, Xiaosheng declares that he will handle the situation himself from now on. The mayor informs Xiaosheng that Li Tianren is also an evolver, to which Xiaosheng reacts with surprise at the presence of more evolvers in the southern region. Despite acknowledging Li Tianren's evolution, Xiaosheng points out that he remains a low-level human with no significant physical enhancements. At that moment, the mayor notices something shocking and urgently tells Xiaosheng to look ahead, pointing in the direction of Li Tianren. As Li Tianren chews on an ancient medicine-grade carrot, his left hand begins to regenerate, astonishing both bug men. Observing the hand's rapid regrowth, Xiaosheng exclaims in surprise and finds the regeneration process intriguing. Meanwhile, Li Tianren, struggling to accelerate his regeneration, is concerned about the possibility of the bug men noticing his recovery process. Impressed by how quickly Li Tianren's arm has regrown, Xiaosheng changes his approach and announces he will no longer kill him. Instead, Xiaosheng expresses his desire to obtain Li Tianren's genetic material, believing that Li Tianren must possess numerous secrets. So he proposes making a deal, prompting Li Tianren to ask him to elaborate on the terms of the offer. Xiaosheng explains that as evolved beings, they are superior to humans and suggests joining forces, noting that with the current trajectory, humans will soon face elimination. He argues that low-level humans will eventually become mere food sources for powerful evolved creatures. Continuing his pitch, Xiaosheng adds that only evolved beings will thrive in the new world and offers Li Tianren a choice to join him, suggesting that they could rule together. Li Tianren remains silent, listening to Xiaosheng's proposition until Xiaosheng eventually asks if the idea of ruling together appeals to him. After a moment of silence, Li Tianren responds, acknowledging the grandeur of Xiaosheng's speech but stating that it is unfortunate humans are not his preferred subjects. He advises Xiaosheng not to underestimate humanity, implying that there is more to humans than what Xiaosheng perceives. Recognizing that the negotiation has failed, Xiaosheng prepares to take action. He lunges at Li Tianren, deciding to eliminate him and use him as nourishment. Meanwhile, at the farm, Li Han is busy gathering crops when she suddenly cries out in pain. She collapses to her knees, clutching her stomach, prompting Uncle Nan to inquire about her condition. With a pained expression, she explains that her chest began throbbing suddenly and hopes that some rest will alleviate her discomfort. Despite the pain, she senses an ominous feeling and asks Nan to continue harvesting the crops, stressing Li Tianren's emphasis on stockpiling food before the second wave. Although still feeling unwell, she reassures Nan that she feels better and insists she will not delay Li Tianren. Back in the sewer, Xiaosheng exclaims with triumph as he realizes that Li Tianren can only repair his body by consuming the strange fruit. He then decides to prevent Li Tianren from eating the fruit, ensuring that he will be unable to recover. Li Tianren, restrained by Xiaosheng, continues to gasp and struggle to free himself. Meanwhile, the mayor appears to have been defeated, floating on the sewer water with his injured body and groaning in distress. As he starts to drift away in the water, the mayor pleads with Xiaosheng for rescue, but Xiaosheng ignores him and focuses on negotiating with Li Tianren about the fruit. Desperate and ignored, the mayor continues to beg for help, but Xiaosheng remains unmoved and demands that Li Tianren reveal his secrets in exchange for a quick and painless death. As Xiaosheng holds Li Tianren down with his foot, the hummingbird droids continue firing their attacks at him. The bullets harmlessly bounce off Xiaosheng's body, and he TSKs in annoyance, questioning why Li Tianren persists in fighting instead of surrendering. He mocks Li Tianren for using all his resources in vain, explaining that his hard armor can easily nullify such attacks. Xiaosheng comments that while the stray bullets might be dangerous if they hit Li Tianren, they merely bounce off his hard scales and land harmlessly nearby. Annoyed by the incessant buzzing of the hummingbird droids, Xiaosheng growls about the noise being unbearable. He swings his sharp claws with disdain, questioning if these attacks are intended to tickle him. As Xiaosheng's ferocious attacks slice the hummingbird droids in half, Li Tianren seizes the opportunity to issue a command. The droids redirect their fire at the sword's handle. Li Tianren extends his hand as the sword is hurled toward him. He catches the sword just in time and, taking advantage of Xiaosheng's distraction, plunges it into Xiaosheng's thigh. Xiaosheng yells out in pain as Li Tianren pushes the sword deeper, commenting that although Xiaosheng's armor is formidable, his joints are vulnerable. Shocked and enraged, Xiaosheng curses Li Tianran as he suffers a severe injury to his legs. As Xiaosheng collapses to his knees, Li Tianran quickly jumps back, maintaining a safe distance from Xiaosheng's reach. Once at a safe distance, Li Tianran retrieves and eats the carrot from his inventory. The ancient medicine carrot works its magic, healing Li Tianran's wounds, and he acknowledges that he cannot continue fighting in this condition and needs to think of a new strategy. Meanwhile, Xiaosheng, heavily injured and kneeling, groans in frustration, cursing himself for just evolving and lacking the energy to repair his body. He growls in hunger, expressing his dire need for food. At this moment, he hears the mayor's desperate pleas for help. The mayor, still floating in the sewer water, begs for assistance, claiming he lacks the strength to stand, but Xiaosheng approaches him and dismisses him as useless. The mayor protests, asserting that if his body is repaired, he can regain his strength and reminding Xiaosheng that he still needs him to control the southern side. Xiaosheng, irritated by the noise, notes that his hunger is so intense that he feels like he might die if he doesn't eat soon. He admits that he has no energy left to fight and capture Li Tianran and expresses his bad mood. Realizing his situation, the mayor starts pleading with Xiaosheng to spare him, insisting that he can still be of use. Moving closer to the mayor, Xiaosheng reminds him that his primary role was to gather food and now calls him a failure. While the mayor continues to groan in pain, Xiaosheng explains that their mother is nearing the final stage of evolution. Once she emerges from her cocoon, the entire southern region will fall under their control. He adds that once the time comes, his people, the bug men, will be able to reproduce freely. Turning back to the mayor, Xiaosheng states that he is hungry and needs to replenish his energy. He then begins to consume the mayor, who screams out in agony. After finishing his meal, Xiaosheng recovers his wounds and remarks that eating level 3 evolvers was satisfying, leaving him brimming with energy. Meanwhile, Li Tianran, having also restored his energy and healed his wounds, eats a cherry tomato, receiving the useless atavistic type. Disgusted by Xiaosheng consuming his own type, Li Tianran worries that despite eating multiple fruits, he only received the atavistic type. As Xiaosheng turns to Li Tianran, announcing he will consume him next, as Li Tianran hastily pops the last cherry tomato into his mouth. Suddenly, Xiaosheng charges at Li Tianran, catching him off guard. Li Tianran chews the fruit as quickly as possible, realizing that he cannot escape from Xiaosheng's swift attack. Xiaosheng is mere inches away from striking Li Tianran. With their faces extremely close, Xiaosheng raises his claws and aims directly for Li Tianran's eyes. Li Tianran's eyes widen in shock as he witnesses Xiaosheng's claws suddenly stop inches from his face, realizing that Xiaosheng is now unable to move. It appears that Li Tianran has successfully evolved into the ancient divine type with the last fruit he ate, unlocking gravity-related abilities. He exclaims with a relieved smile that the ancient divine evolution is an extremely rare and powerful rule system. The system explains that the ancient divine evolution is divided into elemental, supernatural, and rule systems, with the rule system encompassing powers related to gravity, acceleration, and inertia. Mastering these kinds of powers is so formidable that a person could be considered a god. Recognizing the potential of his new abilities, Li Tianran acknowledges that the rule system is indeed a broken skill, noting that he now has a 3-meter range within which he can control gravity. The next skill he has is field expansion, extending his gravity control tenfold for a short period, though it drains significant mental and physical energy. To experiment with his powers, Li Tianran raises his hand, making Xiaosheng lift off the ground and causing him to scream in fright. With a powerful force, Li Tianran then propels Xiaosheng backward with tremendous strength. Xiaosheng crashes hard into a nearby wall, coughing up blue blood and looking dazed. He is astonished that Li Tianran, despite being only a level 3 evolver, has become so powerful in mere seconds. Li Tianran, still holding his hand raised, lowers it with a grin, thinking this might be the most potent type of evolution. He raises 2 fingers and makes the rocks around him levitate, noting that his skill is currently at level 1, so consuming higher level crops could enhance his abilities further. Focusing on a particularly large rock, Li Tianran clenches his fist and flattens it effortlessly. Amazed by his newfound power, he admits that the potential of this evolution is beyond imagination. His excitement is palpable as he feels his heart racing and his satisfaction growing, almost addictive in its intensity. Meanwhile, Xiaosheng slides down from the wall he crashed into and falls to his knees. He doubles over, coughing up blue blood and revealing a large wound on his chest. Frustrated, he curses internally, unable to comprehend how Li Tianran became so powerful so quickly. He is also stunned by how easily his hard armor was shattered. Realizing he cannot win, Xiaosheng decides to escape, pushing himself forward with all his remaining strength. He sprints through the tunnel, anxious about the danger he faces. Seeing Xiaosheng attempting to flee, Li Tianran chases after him. As Xiaosheng remains in his sight, Li Tianran raises his hand and points it at him. Xiaosheng begins to feel a force trying to restrain him, so he struggles to run as Li Tianran clenches his fingers in a grabbing gesture. Suddenly, Xiaosheng's left arm is blown off, and Li Tianran curses, realizing he doesn't have full control over his gravity yet. Upon reaching the intersection of the sewers, Li Tianren discovers that Xiaosheng has managed to escape. Nevertheless, he sees the blood trail left by Xiaosheng during his flight. Meanwhile, Xiaosheng makes it back to the lair of his mother, calling out for her. Near the large hole in the ground, he slumps against it, apologizing to his mother for failing her and calling himself a disappointment. He suddenly hears a noise from behind and the wall explodes. Li Tianren emerges through the breach, revealing that he found Xiaosheng and explaining that the sewer's exit led him to the ground floor of the municipal building. Li Tianren realizes that Xiaosheng's actions went undetected by the military because he was hiding in this location. As the mother continues to make clicking noises, Xiaosheng turns to Li Tianren, calling him a bothersome presence. He accuses Li Tianren of ruining his time with his mother. Suddenly, the ground begins to shake and Li Tianren struggles to maintain his balance. Massive legs of the mother start emerging from the hole, and Xiaosheng announces that his mother has completed her evolution, cursing Li Tianren to hell. Fully emerging from the hole, the mother, resembling an enormous ant, emits a piercing screech. With a mocking tone, Li Tianren questions Xiaosheng about the nature of this creature he calls his mother. The mother responds with another deafening roar. Hearing Li Tianren refer to his mother as the thing, Xiaosheng angrily shouts at him to shut up. He bellows that his mother is the most loving in the world, despite her bad temper, beatings, and starvation. Xiaosheng recounts that while his mother punished him for not topping exams, she heroically saved him when they were surrounded by mutant ants. He recalls how she pushed him away to safety while he fled like a coward, leaving her to die. Deeply grieved, Xiaosheng reflects on his cowardice while his mother died to protect him. Li Tianren finds Xiaosheng's devotion and behavior quite strange. Xiaosheng vows he will not let Li Tianren harm or disrespect his mother. Meanwhile, the level 7 Beast King, the Queen Ant, calls out, saying she is very hungry and low on energy. Xiaosheng looks up, understanding that his mother's hunger is expected in her newly evolved state. He then turns to Li Tianren, declaring that he will now be their fist. Startled, Li Tianren quickly raises his hand, ready to use his gravity skill if necessary. Xiaosheng laughs evilly before his mother bites him from above, devouring him in a single bite. Li Tianren realizes that Xiaosheng intentionally allowed his mother, the Queen Ant, to consume him. He wonders why Xiaosheng would sacrifice himself so easily after making it this far. Looking at the Queen Ant, he realizes it's not a good situation. Now fully energized, the Ant Queen merges with Xiaosheng and radiates a powerful aura, glowing intensely. Li Tianren watches in silence as the room fills with a blinding flash of light. Meanwhile, in the lab, doctors cheer as they successfully replicate the divine gene from Xiaohei. Holding a large test tube of the replicated gene, the lead doctor shows it to the team, who prepare to inject it into Bai immediately. Feeling something strange, the doctor notices the lab equipment shaking, leading the doctors to wonder if it's an earthquake, but they continue with Bai's case. The shaking is felt citywide, centered on the municipal building, leading people to suspect a high-level mutant's appearance. Southern side military police deploy quickly, surrounding the municipal building with helicopters. Yuan Wen is aboard one of the helicopters. Suddenly, a small explosion sends boulders and dust flying. The Queen Ant, now a level 8 Beast King, emerges, having made a massive hole in the building. Yuan Wen is startled and asks if that's the real Beast King now in the city. She hears someone cursing and turns to see media personnel in a nearby chopper ready to record the scene. Surprised, Yuan Wen asks why they are there, causing the media crew to look scared. The reporter explains that they are from the Southern Side Daily Journal and got too excited, not wanting to miss the story. Frustrated, Yuan Wen shouts at them to retreat immediately. The reporter insists he won't miss the chance to cover the Beast King's appearance. He points out that it's the first time a Beast King has appeared in this area and wants to report and witness it firsthand. The chopper speeds towards the Beast King as the reporter declares he will be the first to cover the story, ignoring Yuan Wen's warnings. The reporter instructs the camera operator to zoom in on the Beast King. Following orders, the cameraman zooms in, making the Beast King clearer. As the camera zooms, a blurry figure, besides the Beast King, becomes visible. Li Tianren is revealed in the footage, engaged in battle with the Beast King. Shocked, the reporter drops his microphone, unable to believe a person is fighting the Beast King.